Hi, everybody. I had to click the go live button. I had no other choice. Yeah, so I'm sick. I got a cold a few days ago, and since I said I would do this, I didn't want to be a jerk and cancel. So you're going to have to deal with my stuffed up voice. So I'm going to start in 1 minute. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining. I am going to review. I made a PowerPoint. I do not have any new Excel spreadsheets. Yeah, I'm uncomfortable being the center of attention, so bear with me. So my spreadsheet, or not my spreadsheet, my PowerPoint, I have 16 slides, which the last time I did a public live chat about Delphi was about a month ago. So the PowerPoint covers all the updates from the past month. So I'm going to start off with that. It's going to take about 12 to 13 minutes of me reviewing that stuff, since I know some of you do not follow everything about this case. So I think it's helpful for at least us to start with a basic overview of what's been happening over the past few weeks. And then obviously last Thursday was a big day in court. So I'm seeing a lot of familiar names saying hi. Hi, everybody. I'm just going to start right now. I'm going to go off camera and show my lovely PowerPoint. Hold on. Where's my PowerPoint? Here we go. All right, so I'm not looking at comments for the next like 12 minutes. So here we go. Hold on. Take Tom off. Okay, here we go. Let's see here. Give me 1 second. All right, so I'm going to start off by reviewing the court filings by the prosecution and defense since mid-May of this year, which is my last live chat. So on May 17th, filed by the defense, a motion for temporary restraining order and preliminary injunction. People were wondering if this restraining order was against a person, but I looked online, and the definition of temporary restraining order is an emergency request to take immediate action based on submitted evidence. And then we found out last Thursday that this filing was to prevent Westville prison, where Rick is staying, from videotaping Rick's meeting with his attorneys. I'll get into that more later. On May 19th, filed by the defense, they had a few different motions. One was a notice of discovery, a motion to suppress evidence, a motion to convert the June 15th bail hearing to a suppression hearing. The definition of notice of discovery is prosecution or defense sends discovery request to the other side or to a third party to obtain information or documentation. I saw DNA King is here. I know he's a lawyer. Hopefully anybody who's a lawyer who's watching agrees with my definitions. If not, let me know what I got wrong. On May 30th, the judge ruled on the defense's April request to quash subpoenas. At first, I wrote squash, and then I was like, that's a vegetable. So the prosecution will not be allowed access to Westville Correctional Facility defendants' mental health records, evaluations, exams, medical documentation, or evaluations. The prosecution will be allowed to access CVS records from headquarters, which was Rick's employer, the pharmacy he worked at. And also they will get access to Westville Correctional Facility audio video recordings, written observations, recordings, phone calls, written requests, or other documentation. So in parentheses here, I wrote, were Rick's confessions medical or mental records that will not be accessible to the prosecution, or were they calls that will or won't be allowed at trial? So I'll get to this later, but Rick apparently has been making some incriminating statements about his guilt to a variety of people. We'll get to that later in about 2 hours. June 6th. Oh yeah, I'm probably going to go about 3 hours. That's my new time limit, but as you know, sometimes I'm nice and I'll go a little bit longer. We'll see how long my voice lasts. So June 6th, filed by the defense, motion for ex parte determination of defendant's motion for appointment of experts. The definition of ex parte is the prosecutor, Nick McClelland, is not involved in having a say in which experts the defense is hiring. So during the court hearing, the prosecution has to leave as the defense team talks to the judge about what they can do about hiring. It seems to be mostly like ballistics and gun experts that they're currently looking to talk to at this point. June 7th, filed by the defense, Motion for order on continuing disclosure of defendant's mental health records. The definition is it asks the court to order the other party, possibly Westville. I'm going to refer to the prison where Rick is currently staying as just Westville. Westville to continue disclosing their mental health records beyond the initial disclosure. It allows the requesting party, Rick's lawyers, to gather evidence or information that they believe is relevant to the case. So the prosecution filed an objection to this on June 13th, a week later. So do Rick's lawyers want these records to prove he needs to be moved to the Cass County Jail to improve his mental health, or to prove that he's cray-cray and to not believe his current confessions and incriminating evidence? June 8th, filed by the Murder Sheet podcast, a limited appearance of attorney. The reason they filed this was because they feel like there are motions in court records that are being sealed without explanation, and usual legal procedures are not being followed. So this past Thursday, I think they started the hearing with the judge saying that some documents that were previously sealed will be uploaded this following week, I guess starting tomorrow. I don't know if it's going to start on Monday, tomorrow or not. We all know that I hate doing live chats, but if there is some kind of relevant evidence in these unsealed documents in this following week, I might do a live chat. Why do I torture myself? I don't know. We'll see. I'm not promising anything, but only if there's a lot of stuff to talk about, which I'm not expecting. So who knows when we'll see each other again. Okay, next. There's two more slides with these updates. June 13th, filed by defense, motion in limine regarding ballistics. I believe I pronounced limine correctly. I looked on YouTube to make sure, and somebody pronounced it limine. A helpful tip is the Disney movie Pinocchio has a character Jiminy Cricket, so Jiminy, limine. And speaking of Pinocchio, they're going to release a new sequel on July 27th called Kegan Goes to Prison. I'm kidding. You guys know I call Kegan Kagokio because he lies more than Pinocchio, and he's getting sentenced July 27th. I'm sure some of you do not follow this totally. So at one point, he was supposed to be sentenced a few weeks ago, and then he said at the court date, oh yeah, I've not seen all the evidence. I want to withdraw my guilty plea. About a week later, he said, okay, I'm guilty. So on July 27th, he will be sentenced for his CSAM charges. The definition of motion in limine, it asks the court to order the opposing party, its counsel, and witnesses not to talk about certain evidence to the jury without first obtaining permission from the judge. When the jury is not in the courtroom. June 13th, filed by the prosecution. I'm not sure what these were about, but these were two verified requests to prohibit public access to a court record filed. Some of these stuff might be revealed in the unsealed documents coming up this week. They're going to upload it to a website. Okay, next. June 13th, filed by the prosecution, state's objection to defendant's motion for order on continuing disclosure of defendant's mental health records filed. And the last is June 13th, filed by the prosecution, state's objection to defendant's motion to suppress evidence, which the defense, I guess, submitted on May 19th. So that's the court filings updates. And the big stuff that happened this week was on the 15th, Thursday, there was a hearing. It was originally supposed to be a bail hearing, which I know a lot of us were hoping to find out a lot more evidence or any kind of more evidence against Rick at this bail hearing, which from what I've read, the prosecution is supposed to at least include most of their evidence at this bail hearing. So that was kind of put on the side because the defense requested a suppression of evidence hearing, and also that ex parte about the defense hiring experts, probably about gun and ballistics experts. So what actually happened at the hearing is the suppression of evidence was moved to a later undetermined date. Some other highlights: the trial date is currently set for January 8th to the 26th, 2024, which I guess is better than 2025. The jurors will be selected from Allen County. Just remember, this is in the crime occurred in Carroll County, and that's where the courthouse is. But they're going to bus in these jurors from a county that's somewhat far away, hoping that they can get a jury that isn't too familiar with the case. They estimated that it might take 3 days for the jurors to be selected. Rick's wife was there with his mom, and apparently Rick's wife told the reporter, quote, "He's my person," and she did visit Rick in prison for the first time on May 30th. So, revelations from the lawyers and witnesses. Thank you to the Murder Sheet podcast who showed up and gave a very detailed account of what they heard and saw. And also Aspen Connor from the It's a Crime and Shame YouTube channel. I got some of this information from those people. Those people? All right, sorry. So just a reminder that Rick's defense team, their last names are Baldwin and Rosie. Baldwin is the guy who has the beard. So this past Thursday, it appeared as though Rosie did more of the talking. Why am I sighing? Okay, keep it moving. We have like 7 more spreadsheets to go. Or sorry, I keep messing that up. All right, who cares? Rosie said that Rick has made incriminating statements implicating himself in the crime, which none of us had really heard that before, as far as I know. So that was the most shocking thing. So Rosie continued saying, Rick says one incriminating thing, but then he says something different soon after, which is really not a confession. He also tried to stress that Rick's mental state should be considered in these quote unquote confessions. This happened 5 to 6 times to multiple people, which may be admissible at Rick's trial. There are conflicting reports whether Rick said this to someone at Westville. So that would be either like a mental health person, a medical doctor, the warden. I'll get more into the warden in a little bit. Inmate companions who were helping watch Rick during his suicide watch, or guards, or if it was during calls or texts to Rick's family. So in parentheses down here, I said, if Rick is confessing his involvement, wouldn't he have revealed other suspects? So are police going to be announcing any more arrests soon? So why is he confessing but not changing his plea to guilty or trying to seek a plea deal? We'll get into that later. So one of the best sources of information was the Westville warden. He said that Rick eats for a few days and then he stops eating for a few days. There was some kind of mention of a feeding tube. I don't know if a prisoner doesn't eat 4 meals in a row, they do a feeding tube. I did not see anything specific about that, so I didn't want to include that part here. Westville does have a 24/7 video camera with no microphone or audio focused on Rick's cell, plus a 24/7 suicide watch. Rick broke his tablet. Everybody gets a tablet in prison to watch music and movies and stuff, and also communicate with their family members. And he broke it. I don't know if it was in a fit of rage or some psychotic moment, but he was not charged the usual $250 replacement fee. Calls to family members from the tablet are recorded, and those recordings were offered to the defense and the prosecution. So we don't know, like I said, if during those calls he said something that incriminated him in the crime of these murders. Rick's photo with the stain, I'm sure you guys have seen it. It was the one in my recent Delphi evidence video. It was taken after he had just come from 45 minutes of recreation. I don't know what he was doing, but he decided not to change into one of his other cleaner shirts before his attorney, Baldwin, met with him and took that photo, which I don't know how Baldwin is even allowed to take a photo of a prisoner inside the prison and just release it. Although it wasn't released, it was filed with the court. I think it was supposed to be secret and not released to the public. Rick sent the warden 5 to 6 letters that he wrote. So the warden, I guess, said on the stand that Rick has written me 5 to 6 letters. So his attorney, Rosie, interrupted and asked to speak to the judge in private. I guess the sidebar is called. And that subject was not explored further, or the content of those letters. But it seemed interesting to me. I think they said that the warden said Rick wrote 5 to 6 letters, but also people have been saying Rick gave incriminating statements 5 to 6 times. So I'm not sure if it was in those letters or what. Okay, I made this part up because I didn't make it up, but I created it. Some of you know that I kind of gave the side eye to the defense emergency motion to modify safekeeping order, where they released that photo. And they said a bunch of really kind of ridiculous things to me. So I created this, which basically the defense, in my opinion, they did lie when filing that. So I have these different things here. So the defense said in that motion, like about a month ago, or maybe 2 months ago, Mr. Allen has been entombed in a cell as small as 6 feet in width by 10 feet in length, a space no larger than that of a dog kennel. The warden said on Thursday, Rick is in a cell 12 feet by 8.5 feet. I know it's not much more, but I mean, it's different than what the defense was saying. He said, although Rick has lost weight, he has been eating, showering, and utilizing recreation time at the prison. The defense also previously said Mr. Allen is afforded showers only 1 to 2 times per week. The warden said Rick is allowed 3 showers per week. And at the time I said, well, what is it, 1 to 2 per week? The prison obviously has a schedule of all this stuff. They're not like changing it for different people. The defense said Mr. Allen is required to wear the same clothes, including underwear, for days and days on end, which I was like, what's wrong with that? All of which are soiled, stained, tattered, and torn. The warden clarified prisoners are provided 3 sets of clothing each week. Rick has access to the commissary, which is where they can buy a bunch of like stuff, clothing and food and other stuff. Where Rick has bought clothing, socks, and shoes. I guess his family is giving him some money, some way to buy that stuff. The warden, there are 3 more lies that the defense said. Mr. Allen is sleeping on a pad on a concrete floor. The warden clarified he does have a bed. So it's like the defense is trying to make it look like he doesn't even have a bed, but he does. Defense said Mr. Allen has not been afforded any opportunity to visit his wife or other family members during the last 5 months of incarceration, during which time he has been subjected to conditions akin to those of a prisoner of war. The warden said Rick is permitted to have face-to-face visits with his family. And like I said before, his wife went on May 30th, which I think was the first time she went. Defense said Mr. Allen is afforded very little, if any, recreation time outside of his cold, concrete, and metal quarters. The warden said Rick has a tablet for music, movies, and phone calls, and he also has 1 hour of recreation time 5 times per week. Yes, I understand that 23 hours in that cell is not fun, but I just want to clarify that he does get recreation time. 2 more things about the Westville warden. He said that Rick's medical reports have been in the healthy ranges the entire time he has been at Westville. He receives almost daily checkups by the prison's medical and mental health staff. Rick started exhibiting strange behavior the day after he was given legal work, although he did not go into detail on the behavior or what those documents referenced. It's obviously very interesting to see that after he was given some, I don't know, discovery or legal papers showing stuff that, I don't know, it triggered him in some way or what. Okay, so also at this hearing, the defense called 4 witnesses. Everybody knows Tobe Lesenby, the sheriff from, or the former sheriff from Carroll County. He's now considered a deputy, and Tony Liggett won the election last November, so he's the sheriff. An intern for Attorney Bradley Rosie's office, Gary Lewis from Westville. I guess he's a captain, I think, at the prison. Cass County Sheriff Ed Schroeder. 2 witnesses were called by the prosecution, the warden of the prison. I just revealed all of his most important testimony, and Sheriff Tony Liggett. So Tobe said that Carroll County Sheriff's Office is unable to house Rick because of the pressure it would put on their office. He would have to be housed with the general population because they have a small staff. Something else interesting, Rosie argued that Tobe Lesenby drafted Rick's safekeeping order back in, I guess, late October or early November. And the judge at the time, Diener, who later recused himself, told Tobe to change some of the wording. So I guess Rosie's kind of making it seem like this was kind of shady, but Tobe said that all of the facts in both versions of it were true. So if Rick is moved to the Cass County Jail, which is right across the street from his lawyer Rosie's office, Carroll County would start. Currently Westville, they're transporting, but if Rick goes to a county jail, Carroll County would have to transport Rick to the court hearings, and Carroll County does not have the resources to do that. Rick won't have mental health services at Cass County Jail. At Westville, they have 24/7. Visitors would be restricted due to Rick being under a constant suicide watch, and the Cass County Sheriff said, I really don't want him. I don't blame him. It seems like it's a huge headache and stuff. However, I think he should be moved because it seems like, I'll get to that in a second. 3 out of 4 meetings that Rick had with his attorneys at Westville were subjected to a video camcorder focused on Rick. The prison clarified that they do this for everybody, just so they have evidence in case Rick would have attacked his lawyers. They did not have a microphone. They weren't recording it and sending it to the prosecution for evidence or anything. The defense team's case preparation is, the defense team's case preparation time is consumed by getting Rick out of Westville, which to me is like, you've had months and months of time. You're only focusing on getting Rick out of Westville. I find that hard to believe. They have a 90-minute drive to Westville, and Judge Gull kind of called them out, saying that his defense team's complaints seem to be more about their lawyer's inconvenience than Rick's. I just took a sip from my Taco Bell cup and I spilled water on my shirt, which maybe you'll see the stain in 5 minutes. I don't even know how many people are watching this mess. All right. A few more. This is my last PowerPoint slide. So you might see my stain on my shirt pretty quick. Actually, I have 2 more after this, but it's different. So I'll talk about you guys. Sorry, I'll talk to you guys about the hearing in a second. So Liggett testified to the size of his department and their inability to properly house and watch Rick in Carroll County. He argued manpower and safety concerns, saying they would need assistance from other agencies if Rick was transferred back to them in Carroll County. The sheriff's office only has 5 full-time deputies and 1 jail commander. Something interesting that came up and kind of shady is Tony Liggett tried to meet with Rick at Westville without informing Rick's attorneys, which you're not supposed to meet with a defendant without having their attorneys present. He did not end up meeting with Rick, so I don't think there's anything that he could get charged with, but it's kind of crazy that he's going against the rules. The judge will make a ruling on whether or not Rick will be moved out of Westville at a later date. It's not known exactly when that date is going to be. Prosecutor Nick McClelland, who my subscriber Billy Wolf called Slick Nick, said the state doesn't care if Rick is moved. So it's going to be interesting to see if they'll move him or not. And that is the end of my court hearing updates. I do have 2 other slides that we can get to later, but I'm sure you guys are talking about a bunch of stuff. So let me go to the chat. Here's my stain on my shirt. Oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassing. Let's see what you guys are talking about. Hi, Charlotte from Carroll County. Do you have any local insight for us? Yeah, hi, Wes. Wes says last week's images of Rick were something else. Looking forward to hearing about this, Wes in North Carolina. So I'm going to show a picture of Rick. Hold on. Give me 1 second. For those of you who did not see Rick, I'll show you his photo real quick. He obviously looks totally different from even his last court date. However, the warden is saying that he's getting checked every day and his body mass index is within range for his height. I mean, a lot of people are saying he looks horrible, but he does not have access to alcohol, which it's been talked about that he may have been an alcoholic. He was a smoker. Obviously, the emotional stress of being charged with this is horrible. It might be rightfully so, but that's what Rick is looking like right now, for those of you who did not see this. DR, you have a PowerPoint presentation? I'm shocked. Yeah, I try to keep all of the updates that happened from the prior month just to keep you guys updated if you're not. Let's see. Hi, Rescue All the Dogs. Do you think the Klines are still relevant? It seems like the police have moved on from Kegan and his dad. I mean, they've had 6 years to find something to charge them both with, and they have not, related to Delphi. I actually have I have a PowerPoint slide that I haven't gotten to where Kegan was interviewed by the murder sheet. Let me just do that real quick. Give me 1 second. Oh yeah, so I have 2 other PowerPoint slides in addition to this that we'll get to in the 4th hour. Let me see here. Sorry. I'm just going to review this in case you guys did not hear about Kegan's interview with Murder Sheet. Let me remove this so you can see. So Kegan's lawyer is Andrew Aki, or he removed himself from the case. I guess he got sick of Kegan. He told Kegan maybe they should take a 10-year plea deal, which I think Kegan said, "You never told me there was a 10-year plea deal." He told Kegan to take a guilty plea so the county does not have to spend money on trial and would help get him a lighter sentence. And he told Kegan that he would lose his trial because the evidence is so abundant. Kegan was going to read a letter at his sentencing a few weeks ago, but Aki told him not to because Aki would talk to the judge separately. Kegan said he never sat and went through all the discovery, the evidence. Regarding Delphi, he tried to talk to prosecutor Nick McClelland, but they did not want to hear what he has to say. He said they don't believe him and they can't corroborate it in court. Although if you pronounce it like Kegan, I think he was saying it corroborate. He said his dad is responsible for some of the CSAM on his phones, but why have police not ever arrested his dad? He said he did not know Rick Allen. He also did not know the girl who gave Murder Sheet an interview. I think she gave the name Kayla during that interview like over a year ago. She said that she met him at Kokomo Park after he he didn't catfish her. I think he showed himself. I don't know. He did not catfish her. The Wabash River search, he said he didn't really go into detail or say that he was the one who started that, but he said he thought they were close to a plea deal around that time. He said he was with his dad on the day of the Delphi murders, and so his dad knows that Kegan has nothing to do with it at all. And his dad logged into Kegan's device and did a Skype call chat. So he's kind of putting blame on his dad, which previously he said his dad did not have access to his devices. So are the Klines still relevant? At this point, I'm saying no. I know some people feel like Kegan shared access to Anthony Schatz. However, I've never seen evidence that he did that because the police found out about Kegan because they asked Facebook and Instagram who's accessing this Anthony Schatz profile, and they found an IP address. And so Comcast is the local internet service provider, and they said this house in Peru is accessing Anthony Schatz. So if Kegan somehow gave access to Rick, why would that report from Facebook and Instagram not show a house in Delphi also accessing Anthony Schatz profile or any other home or person? We've not seen anything in that regard, so I don't know. Hi, Vanessa. Hope you're enjoying it. Sorry, just looking for some of your comments to highlight. Ultimate Ninja says they found cat hairs on the bodies. They matched them to his dead cat that was buried. Hopefully, I'm not the one spreading that rumor, because I know that somebody on Court TV, some lady, Dr. Lieberman, who some of my members in yesterday's chat were saying she's crazy. She was talking about that. I don't know if that was in a Daily Mail article at some point. It was a rumor from the very beginning that they may have been digging up Rick's backyard to try and find any cat hair from his dead cat to match to the crime scene. And it's not a total rumor because in Ron Logan's search warrant, it said there were unknown fibers and unidentified hairs. And also, there has been confirmation that police did take hair from Tony Kline's pit bull, his dog, which would indicate that there was some kind of animal hair found somewhat near the crime scene. I don't know if it was on the girls' bodies or not. I mean, obviously it's in the woods, so there could be like all kinds of animal hair. So it's not definitely confirmed that they did find any cat hair on the bodies or if it did match to Rick's dead cat. I guess we'll find out. Maybe at the bond hearing, if that never happens. Let's see. Federico, everybody loves your lives but you, sir. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm just looking to see. What's the spelling? Kegokio, Kegoccio? I don't know. Hi, Marshall. Nice to see you. Hi to everybody who said hi to me in the chat. I'm just looking for some stuff related to Delphi. Yeah, so Charmaine says, I'd recognize my person on that bridge guy video, just saying, I, I totally agree with you. Who knows what she was thinking? I can understand at some point around April 2019 when they released that young guy sketch that she was like, okay, it's definitely not Rick. One of my, um, somebody replied under my evidence video. I don't know. Give me one second. Yeah, so I have this in one of my spreadsheets. Give me one second. Or not my PowerPoint. Why do I keep saying that? Actually, it's Big Bird 420, which I saw your screen name and I was like, why is Big Bird smoking pot on Sesame Street? But she made a good point. She's in this chat right now. She said, because in my evidence video, I said, what was Rick searching? Was he searching after the murders, was he searching for news on the Delphi murders to see what people were talking about? She made a good point that would their home internet also show that Rick's wife and daughter, if she was still living at home at 22 before she got married in later 2017, were they looking on the internet trying to figure out, is this bridge guy Rick? So that was a good point, I thought, by Big Bird 420. Hi, the Rockaways. Rosie is an amazing lawyer, but Alan is becoming a very challenging defendant to represent. Well, his lawyer said, our client is innocent. He has nothing to hide. So why are they trying to hide evidence with these filings? I mean, I understand that that's their job to do. Lady Monet says, my person is a Grey's Anatomy phrase. That's a TV show for anybody who doesn't know. Jen Doe says, where did Kathy say Richard incriminated himself to her? She has not spoken to anybody. They're under a gag order, Jen. It's just speculation that during a family or a phone call, that Rick may have said incriminating stuff, but it's unclear exactly to who or exactly what he said. Hi, hippie. Rick is a big baby. I cannot smoke cigarettes and drink beer. Wah. Billy Wolf says Rick was clean, but not zestfully clean. Oh my gosh. Susan, Sue, did you spell your name wrong? Is it supposed to be Sue Ann? Sorry. That poor wife, my guess is he was very controlling. She seemed to be very loving of him and very outgoing. I mean, I've never seen Rick smile or at least show his teeth other than that one photo where he's like very scarily opening his mouth really wide. So who knows what their dynamic was, but they've been married since they were 19. So they've been married, I think, 31 years at this point. So at what point do you really say, I'm giving up on you? Is she waiting for Rick to be convicted in court? I don't know. His wife and his mom still seem to be going to all of his court dates, but how much is his mom and his wife really looking into all this evidence deeply as much as us? I don't know. His daughter has not shown up to any of his court dates. I've heard, I don't want to say it's a rumor, but maybe his daughter might have something incriminating against him. I don't know. That's not, don't repeat that. I shouldn't have said it, but I honestly don't know what it was about. But I've heard one or two people say that his daughter, I don't know, just something that she might have some kind of information that she thinks he's guilty. I don't know. There was a rumor that she or her mom turned Rick in, but I don't think that's true. Marshall says, that sounds incorrect. When do they get to change shirts if they want to go outside? I think the warden said that he watched the videotape and Rick went outside for this, like the day that they took the photo of Rick with a stain on his shirt, like I have on my shirt right now. And the video showed that Rick, I guess, went from recreation to his jail cell and then to meet with Baldwin, his attorney, but he did not. He could have changed his shirt in the jail cell, but he did not before his meeting with Baldwin. His goose is cooked. Well, what point is he gonna? I mean, it's been 8 months since he's been arrested. At what point is he gonna officially change his plea to guilty? As of this point, he's still showing up in court acting like he's not guilty. Here's Big Bird 420. They replaced that broken tablet for free because he's incriminating himself on his phone calls on that tablet and they're recording his calls. Okay, good point, Big Bird. You should be hosting live chats, not me. Jen again says, where did you hear Richard incriminated himself to Kathy through a phone call? I did not hear that. It was not specified exactly to who he said these incriminating things. It was said he said them 5 to 6 times. And I think it's to multiple people. And exactly what he said has not been revealed yet. If you know, contact me privately. Oh my gosh. Cecil Hotel. He lost weight so he fits better in his tomb. I know some people are upset that they think that Rick is being treated like a prisoner of war. However, I just really feel like he could not be in general population and he cannot be at least Carroll County jail. They just can't take care of him. I feel that that's genuine and that they are not like trying to break him. I know some of you disagree, but that's my opinion. Hi, big fish, small pond. If he's on suicide watch, how does he have changes of clothes? Why, you think he would like strangle himself with pants or something? I don't know. I mean, he can't walk around naked or do that dance he did at the bar where he's like a fish out of water. Marshall says if he did have a drinking problem since he went to rehab, which that's unconfirmed. If he went to alcohol rehab, mental health facility after the murders, it's never been confirmed. And I'm not sure if the prosecution is doing some of these filings for medical or mental health records related to any like prior mental health stays or alcohol rehab. Not drinking abruptly, that itself would make weight loss fast, correct? Hi, Chico's mommy. If the prosecution know about his confessions, it can only be through one of the ways they have access to. So it can't be to medical staff. Good point. So it must be on some of these calls, and we have no idea exactly what he's saying. It's just referenced as incriminating statements, I think is what his lawyer said. And then prosecutor Nick, Slick Nick, kept bringing it up during the hearing on Thursday. Big fish, small pond. If he's on suicide watch, he has a Bible, a toilet, and a cement with a thin cot. Wes says she's been to visit him one time this year, as far as we know. Yeah, and it seems like his attorneys have only gone there 4 times, and yet they're complaining that it takes an hour and a half to drive there. I don't know. The Rockaways, Tobe is a key figure in the mishandling of the investigation. His incompetence is rewarded with a promotion. Actually, I don't think he was promoted. I don't know. I don't want to say that he was demoted because I think his title is deputy right now because in November they had a sheriff's election. I think they have term limits. So Tony Liggett was elected last November. I know some of you have conspiracy theories that Rick's arrest in late October was to help Tony Liggett get elected sheriff like a week later. I don't feel that's correct. If I lived in Carroll County, like whoever was up there before who says she's from Carroll County, I would not have voted for Tony Liggett. It's like you were in charge or one of the people in charge of this investigation for 5.5 years and you failed for 5.5 years to solve it after the supposed bridge guy was interviewed within a few days. I get that I totally understand that this case was not something that anybody in a small town or small county was prepared for, to get 80,000 tips. However, the 80,000 tips were only gathered and allowed to go that high because they screwed up the process from the very beginning. And I'm not saying that Liggett or Tobe did. It may have been the FBI was in charge of tips. That's been the rumor, that a civilian employee of the FBI maybe misfiled this interview that Rick did with a conservation officer outside the grocery store. However, let me just say one thing. It seems like there's been a ton of rumors, as you guys know. So after the Wabash River search for 5.5 weeks in August to September of last year apparently did not reveal any incriminating evidence against the Klines or anybody else, Doug Carter may have said, go back to the very beginning. And Rick's PCA said, investigators reviewing prior tips came across a tip narrative, and then they said what Rick told to the conservation officer. So they have to go back to the very beginning of pieces of paper, and good old Schenkmeister, the receptionist at Carroll County, did she come across this piece of paper? And they were like, holy crap, how did we miss this? Because I really feel like Tobe, Jerry Holman, Doug Carter, and Liggett did not know about this piece of paper with this interview about Rick saying he was there from 1:30 to 3:30. So back to my main point is, even if you're totally overwhelmed by this investigation, why did you not go back to the very beginning of pieces of paper at the 1-year anniversary or the 2-year anniversary? I don't know. It's easy for us to criticize from afar, but I don't know. Chico's mummy, you're not still withdrawing from alcohol 8 months later, though. It leaves your system within a few weeks. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Chico's mummy, I need it confirmed, but apparently the warden said in court that Rick won't eat for 4 days at a time. All right. Yeah, I didn't see anything specific about whether they're giving him some kind of feeding tube, so I didn't want to include that in my iconic PowerPoint slides. Hi to everybody everywhere and outside of the US. I know some people in Australia woke up early for this. Hopefully you're finding it informative. Team Hackett, hey from Scotland. I wonder what details he gave when admitting guilt. That's what we all want to know. And at what point is he going to, instead of just telling a few people, say to his lawyers, okay, after 8 months, I'm ready to say I'm changing my plea to something. Let's do some kind of plea deal. To me, it seems like maybe his personality is such that he just doesn't want to admit this publicly. He doesn't want his mom, his wife, his daughter to know that he did this. We don't know what he's saying on these phone calls. But is he going to say, okay, maybe I can act crazy and be found guilty that way without having to actually enter a guilty plea? I was looking before, and I think there might be some issues with his competency for trial coming up, and that might include him having to go to a mental health institution for up to 6 months to try and get him back to reality or whatever. So there might be some interesting stuff happening with his mental health in the next few months. Jay White, hey Tom, no one cares about your shirt, sweetie. All right, thank you. The stain has dried already. Oh my gosh. Oh, Wom Tepster's here. Everything is good in the world. Peter says, people say he's admitting guilt, but has he? Just said he's made admissions. I agree. It's not, there have been some references to confessions, but I think his lawyer just referred to it as incriminating statements, which, I mean, that in itself, I think, is obviously some kind of admission of guilt, or they wouldn't be talking about it. Hi, Lynn. What happened to the bail hearing? His lawyer seemed to want to get him moved out of Westville as soon as possible, which they've been trying to do for a few months. And people are wondering, were his defense lawyers making all of these medical and mental health filings because they heard about him making these whatever incriminating statements, and they want to say, "Oh no, he's cray cray." That's why he's saying these things. I don't know. Karen said exactly what I just said. I don't know what. I'm not highlighting that. I'll do it real quick. Oh my gosh. Marshall needs prison for just use Ozempic. Prison is the new Ozempic. Please be respectful to other people in the chat. I don't delete comments. I'm too busy. Yeah, exactly. Let's remember it was way more horrible for Abby and Libby. Charlotte says Rick has taken the opposite approach to confinement than Kegokyo. Thank you for spelling Kegokyo correctly. One expands, the other shrinks. Hey, Tom, hope you're well. Thank you, Charlotte, for joining and for sharing your thoughts. Yellow shirt is brave. Why? That's the last time I wear a yellow shirt. The silver leaf. He's a 50-year-old man who can't get alcohol and fast food anymore. Plus, look at the pic with his son-in-law. He looks bad there, too. The one where he's sitting on his lap at Thanksgiving in Thanksgiving 2016. I mean, just comparing his face to like 8 months ago, there's a huge difference. However, he does look horrible, but I don't know. Like the warden says, he's within his BMI range, which I guess someone who's 5'4", I don't know. Billy Will, if you have a comment on that. Scott says, I bet Richard Allen could use a cigarette right about now. It's interesting. I wonder what kind of medical or medicine he's on. His lawyer in that whatever the motion for the safekeeping order said Rick has suffered from depression since his early years. So a lot of people said that Rick seemed kind of out of it in this recent court appearance, even more so than previously. So I don't know what kind of like mental health medicine he's currently on. Hi, Gen X Rando. Was his wife at the courthouse for the latest hearing? Yes, she was. Murder Sheet said that normally in the past he would mouth "I love you" to his wife and his mom. Somebody said that he did that again this time, but I think Kevin from Murder Sheet said that when Rick looked at his wife, it was like she wasn't even there. So I'm not sure. Yes, I did just try and hide a burp. Lady Monet. Let me have my Taco Bell cup drink. Hold on. And I just spilled more water. I was putting it away. Prosecutor said 5 or 6 admissions. Defense said yes under mental illness. Yeah, I mean, it's not like just one time. However, my issue with the defense saying he only gets 1 to 2 showers a week and them saying 5 or 6 admissions, which is it, 5 or 6? I know it's nitpicky, but 5 up to 6 is like, that's kind of incriminating, so to speak. Oh my gosh. Thank you for loving me, baby doll. Chico's, the warden said he has money on his books, which is like his jailhouse account, and buys junk food he keeps in his cell, but he is selectively eating. His lawyer said that he was having schizophrenic tendencies or behavior, but we have not seen any official mental expert say that. 4 pit bulls and a toy hauler across America. High-profile case should be way more proper procedures being followed due to process and civil rights were not followed. I agree. I really hope there is some kind of investigation into this investigation. They screwed up quite a few things. So Doug Carter, I know you're one of my biggest fans. I want to see a spreadsheet about what your new process is. No, but seriously, I understand that it was totally craziness. There were so many different, I think they said 200 officers from up to, I saw 2 different reports. One said 20 different agencies and one said 45 different agencies. So yes, it was crazy, but how are they going to learn from their mistakes in future cases? Nick says, I believe Richard was the only killer. Someone else could be indirectly. I mean, at this point, we have not seen anybody arrested. It's been 8 months since Nick, it's been 7 months since Slick Nick said there could be other actors, which somebody else in my evidence video made a comment that said, could Slick Nick, I guess I'll call him that going forward, have said other actors, because once they arrested Rick, they took his DNA, which they would have matched to any DNA at the crime scene, which we don't know if that was good DNA sample or not. Could they have matched Rick's DNA to the crime scene and it did not match? Is that why Slick Nick said there might be other actors? And if so, what was that? Whose DNA did that belong to? Could it have been somebody like touch DNA that was not related to the murders? I don't know. But I mean, it's been 8 months and they have not arrested anybody else. Chop Father 2, have you put money on Rick's books? No, I have not. I've not put any money on anybody's books. I might interview Kegan. Uh-oh, I know some people are going to be mad. I'm not going to step on the toes of Murder Sheet, who Kegan said he'll talk to them after he's sentenced and goes to prison. But I have a lot of questions for him, and if Murder Sheet does not answer like a fair amount of questions I still have, I might reach out to Kegokio. I don't know if he knows about me or that I said he's Kegokio, but we'll see. I know some of you will get mad at me, but we'll see what happens. The Silver Leaf. So Rick is playing around. I'm sure that pic of him was staged so people would feel sorry for him. I totally agree. Some people were mad at me with my recent my Rick Allen evidence video that I included an eye roll saying that he says he's innocent, but I mean, it seems like I was somewhat proven correct to have an eye roll if he's making these admissions to certain people while he's in prison. Tina, this is Christina Aguilera. This is her screen name. In court, Nick McClelland said Rick isn't safe because he's confessed to 5 or 6 people. That's correct. Thank you. If it was the warden or his wife, no one in prison would know, and it would not affect his safety. I think he confessed to other inmates. Good point, Christina Aguilera. Stop screeching when you sing. We know that there were some inmates in Westville. I guess there's a program called Companions. If some of these inmates, they're not all like horrible. Well, I don't want to say horrible people, but I think some people who are involved with like the religious aspects within prison, they become these companions to somebody who's on suicide watch, just to watch them. And maybe if Rick is so lonely in solitary and some other inmate shows up, they're going to start talking about certain stuff. So that's a good point, Christina Aguilera. Hippie says Richard told others in prison 2 others helped him kill the girls besides multiple confessions. That's the first time I've ever seen that. What's your source, Hippie? And why are those 2 other people not arrested yet? Cecil Hotel, happy Father's Day to all the dads. Fur babies, dads too. Oh my gosh. Simon Wright from West Yorkshire. How do I donate to Rick's underpants appeal? He has money to buy some new drawers. Oh gosh. Some of these names. Jorgen Sandstrom. Are you from Sweden? I don't get it. The coincidence, Kegan said, I was supposed to meet them, but they never showed up. I get that. However, it was never totally clarified with Anthony Schatz replying to, I guess, the friend of Libby the night they were missing, saying, oh my God, what happened? I was supposed to meet her, but she did not show up. Where and which day was never specified. So it did not necessarily mean I was supposed to meet her at the bridge at 1:30. I mean, we know that it was not confirmed that they had a ride, Abby and Libby had a ride to the bridge until at some point when Kelsey finally agreed to take them and drop them off. I don't know. In my interview with Kegan, I'll ask him some hard questions, but who knows if he's gonna lie or not, or agree to talk to me. Oh my gosh. Do you think Kegan sent Tony a Father of the Year card? Apparently, they're not talking or chirping. Kegan is the biggest liar. MB Inc. Is it speculation that Rick is an alcoholic? Yes. However, there was a 2015, I think, Rick's wife called, I don't know if it was 911 or Delphi police or Carroll County police. It was something to do with Rick being drunk, I think, and he had to go to a hospital because who knows what he was acting like. I tried to get a copy of this police report or 911 call. Actually, just on Friday, I emailed somebody at the Delphi police, but nobody ever replies to me. So I'm not expecting to find out. In my members chat yesterday, I said, maybe I'll call Carroll County Sheriff's Office and hopefully Shankmeister will answer. And maybe I can ask her some other questions, which I'm kidding, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm trying to find out what happened in that 2015 call. So was Rick an alcoholic? We've seen him at JC's bar. If you ever seen a picture of Rick in a bar, it's this local bar, JC's, which closed, I guess, during COVID. If you saw this, like, I don't know, it's like a 20-minute video somebody took focused on Rick. I don't know if it was 2019 or not. That was at JC's bar. Yeah, there's no confirmation that he was an alcoholic, but there were some rumors that he went to alcohol rehab. I think one of his former coworkers said in a Reddit chat Q&A that there were rumors at CVS that Rick went to alcohol rehab. I don't know. Don't quote me on that or anything else. Simon says it was the Daily Mail. I think you're talking about the cat hair thing. Hi, the cat ate my homework. Yeah, so my recent Rick Allen evidence video, it's gotten like 54,000 views in like the first week, which I was not expecting that many people to watch it. The reason I came up with this is because I wanted to figure out like a list of what evidence do they have and what evidence could they have. I was really hoping to interview like police officers or anybody familiar with those car and cell phone forensics, but like I said, nobody wants to talk to me. So unfortunately, it wasn't as good a video as I was hoping, but hopefully some of you found it somewhat interesting or informative. Baby doll, y'all think Kathy knew that Rick was on the bridge? We have no idea what he was telling her. I mean, I really want to know how many people Rick told he was on the bridge. Because if it was me out on the trails and I legit did not see them, I would be going into work in this small town and community saying I was on the trails. It was so eerie and scary and sad to think that this was happening when I was there, 1:30 to 3:30. How many people was Rick telling that he was there? In the past week, I think some YouTube channel, I don't know if it was Inquisitor or not, somebody found some Facebook posts, I think it was from February 15th, 2017, where I guess somebody posted a screenshot of Bridge Guy. Somebody may have written something that it was Rick, and somebody replied that he was cleared already. I don't know. So I don't know how many people tipped Rick in. I don't know. You would think a lot of these people would recognize their coworker's voice or your family member. The initial height of Bridge Guy was 5'6" to 5'10". There's been a lot of debate about exactly how tall Rick is. I'm pretty sure the final answer is around 5'4". Somebody took a tape measure to the Carroll County Courthouse and measured where he was last seen walking in, and it was around like 5'3" to 5'4". I know some people are concerned with the PCA with these three witnesses, the juvenile girls who passed Rick, who like pretty much all three of them seem to give a different description of his clothes and stuff and his height. Somebody said he was not taller than 5'10". However, you have to remember he was wearing a hoodie, which would have kind of changed what his actual height was. And Rick did admit passing these 3 girls. I know some people are also thinking that there was another guy out there who was wearing all black because one of the girls said he was wearing all black. But I showed him both of my recent videos, the evidence video and my Rick Allen deep dive. I showed a photo of the trail around that first bench where he passed them. And even though it was winter and there were no leaves on the trees, it created quite a dark shadow on the trail. So he's wearing a dark blue jacket. And in that shadow, I think it would have looked to somebody who's not really like focusing and knowing that they were going to be giving a test on what they saw, that it would have maybe appeared to be black, at least the jacket. Yes, I know like his bridge guy's jeans were somewhat light, so that would not appear black even in the shadow. But I think some people are spending too much time worrying that there was another guy in black out there, and that was just somebody's wrong description of Rick in the shadows of the trail, of the trees. Marshall, has it even been confirmed that it was the warden he confessed to? No, because after the warden said he's gotten 5 to 6 letters from Rick, the defense went to the judge and they stopped talking about that. Hi, Vanessa. Hippie said the news is the source for 2 other people. That Rick said 2 other people helped him murder the girls. Cecil Hotel, it was confirmed to be cat hair, but I don't think it was deemed to be his cat hair. Abby also had a cat, and Libby, I found a video of Becky Patty saying that Libby was petting a new dog before they went to the trails. But obviously, they should have known, the investigators would have checked that dog hair against what was found at the crime scene or on her clothes. So I don't think that's a mix-up. Simon says, of they took dog hair from Tony's dog. Why do we presume cat hair from Rick's cat? Why not a dog still? I don't know. I think basically because there's been this rumor that they dug up Rick's dead cat, who died in 2018. Rick did have a few other cats, and his wife did work at a vet. But I guess the only cat that died between 2017 and 2022 was this one in 2018. Soy, cat DNA to find out, how does that work? In my recent Rick Allen evidence video, I kind of tried my best to show how that would work based on some research I did. Good point, MB. Has anyone ever heard Rick Allen speak? Nothing very clear that we have seen. There was that, what's that called? That ski lift when his wife and he went on vacation to Tennessee. It's not a good sample. There's another one where he's at a bar and it's not a great sample. I know that Fig Solves YouTube channel. He did a comparison, and to me, it does sound. I think he used the bar audio. He might have also used the ski lift one. It did seem to be somewhat similar to the down the hill. What am I thinking? 2 other people who worked with Rick, I guess in murder sheet interviews, they said it did sound like Rick, but they did not really notice a connection until after Rick was arrested, and they kind of listened more to the down the hill audio. I've said in my previous live chat that it seems like Rick was, their house was raided on October 13th, 2022. October 26th, they asked Rick to, I guess, go to the Indiana State Police post, whatever it's the station. So I'm hoping, because Rick is unlikely to get on the stand where the jury can hear his voice compared to Bridge Guy's voice, to determine if he is Bridge Guy, because they only need to prove that he is Bridge Guy to get him convicted. Hopefully in this October 26th interview, they did a high quality microphone of Rick's speaking voice to compare to Bridge Guy. And also hopefully they'll have either friends or family saying, yes, that does sound like Rick. Those people will go on the witness stand to confirm that. Dog Shack, they are killing this guy off so the rest of them get away with the corruption and murder. Disgusting. I don't know. I mean, I want to highlight other opinions, but I don't know exactly. I know that the Carroll County law enforcement has done some shady things, but I don't know who you're saying is getting away with murder. Marshall, Tom is the only YouTube channel that does 2 lives repeated over 4 hours, so all time zones can make it. He is the best. I tried. Ultimate Ninja. Plus, I think the bullet as evidence is huge by itself. Obviously, the defense is trying to get this thrown out. There was a bullet found 2 feet from Libby, and I guess in between her and Abby. There's been a lot of speculation about whether this is junk science or not. The bullet was not shot through the gun. We've talked about this before, but my speculation, which everything I do is speculate, and I know some people don't like that. I speculate that Rick walks up to the girls, and there is confirmation in the PCA that the girls did reference the word gun as Bridge Guy was walking towards them. So I have a lot of thoughts in my mind right now. Let me say this real quick. In the PCA, they say at the end of the video, the man on the bridge is seen and heard at the end of Libby's 43-second video. So I'm hoping that Libby was maybe holding her cell phone like in her hand with the camera pointed towards Rick and it's down to her side or maybe at her waist. Did she get a better, closer up view of Rick's jeans, his maybe belt? There's been a lot of debate about that brown thing around his waist of Bridge Guy. Is that some kind of waist or gun holder bag? Is it a t-shirt? Is it a brown hoodie that's sticking out from there? So hopefully at the end of that 43-second video, we have a better look at Bridge Guy's jacket to see if it's a jacket that was found at Rick's house, any kind of brown hoodie, all that other stuff. So did they get a good view of the gun or what he did? And did he truly pull back the gun to load a bullet in it? From what I've seen of guns, which I don't know, hopefully I'll get this right. So you pull the top of the gun, a handgun back, and it pulls up 1 bullet at a time. So then you can shoot. There's speculation that Rick then pulled it back again to intimidate the girls before he said, around the time he said down the hill. And that he forgot that there was already a bullet. So that popped up a bullet and it went out onto the ground. My speculation is that he did see that bullet pop out. So did he on video lean down and pick it up and put it like in his right jacket pocket? Then later it's talked about that the bodies were moved. So did that bullet fall out of his jacket pocket unbeknownst to him? And then he gets home and he reaches in the pocket like, where's that bullet? And holy crap, where's that bullet? And he did not find out until October 26th when they said, have you ever been on Ron Logan's property? And he says, no. Did you ever loan your gun to anybody? And he says, no. It could be totally wrong, my speculation, although a few days ago, I was also thinking about this again. And if Rick is only 5'4" and that creek water was very high that day, wouldn't the bullet have kind of floated out of his jacket pocket and into the water if it was that deep that it went up past his jacket pocket? So I'm not saying that's correct. It's just an idea that I had, that how could that bullet from Rick's gun end up at the crime scene without him knowing it and leaving it there? It's going to be a big fight to get that as evidence. However, even if they don't get to say that it's definitely from Rick's gun, as a jury member, I would be suspicious that he even owned a gun that would have that type of bullet. So even if it's not specifically related to his gun, that it was like pulled back in his gun markings, just the fact that he owned that gun that had that bullet, it's suspicious to me. 1 hour and 10 minutes. How much more time do we have left? How far behind am I? I'm 40 minutes behind on comments. Oh my gosh, already? Sorry. Thank you everybody for joining. Sorry if I don't get to your comment. Holly in hell, off topic. I appreciate people's empathy, but I believe Richard Allen is faking his mental state. I don't know. Why do you think he's going to do that? And like, what is his end game? Does he want to be found not competent for trial and be in a mental institution? People have said that a mental institution is even worse than being in solitary confinement in prison. I don't know. Luna Blue, what was Rick's motive? I have no clue. I've tried to think about it. People have said, was he kidnapping them? I mean, him just saying go down the hill is it's considered kidnapping, to take somebody from one position to another where they don't want to go. So that's all that the prosecution has to say, is he kidnapped them, which led to their murder. But he lived with his wife. His daughter was 22 at the time of the murders. I know she got married in November 2017. I don't know if she lived at home until then. So it's not like he could have taken them home to do stuff. There's been speculation that he was working with Ron Logan. He said he didn't know Ron Logan. Ron Logan never, when he was under investigation, he never said, yeah, I know Rick Allen. I don't know. Yeah, I cannot figure out a motive. Big fish, small pond. Maybe Rick was scared he was going to get shocked. His vest, apparently, at his latest hearing, had the capability to shock him if he did something inappropriate. Peter, if my partner was charged with a crime like this, gag order or not, I'd be on TV. Where else are you going to be? Telling everyone they're innocent. I totally agree with you, because also, if I was Rick, I would have sued Indiana State Police the day after I got arrested for this, saying, you ruined my life by falsely accusing me. Rick wrote a letter to the court saying, I'm at your mercy or something like that. He never said I'm innocent. Obviously, his official plea is not guilty. But I mean, I know that flannel shirt guy, I think most of you know all these like various nicknames for these people. Flannel shirt guy did one TV interview. Ron Logan did multiple TV interviews. I'll get to Ron Logan later and smack some people who still think he was bridge guy. The dog walker guy, which not a lot of people know about this, and someone, I won't say their name because I don't know if they want me saying it. I recently saw a TV interview on camera with a guy who was walking his dog around Freedom Bridge, who passed the 3 juveniles, and he did say hi to these 3 juvenile girls, who Rick later, when they said hi to Rick did not reply hi to them. So why are these other people doing all these TV interviews who are on the trails, but Rick did not? I mean, I know not everybody is going to be like, oh, I want to go on TV, but it's just something that is suspicious to me. Yes, the wife is still showing up in court, Holly. Big Fish, Small Pond says nobody has talked to his daughter, so I call BS on the rumor that she might have some kind of incriminating evidence. Inspector Gidget, I think his daughter either thinks he is guilty or knows he is guilty. Yeah, I mean, how can you not recognize your father's voice? Even, I understand that the guys in the Down the Hill does sound different. And if I'm being honest, this is stupid to say, but I don't know that Rick looks like he would have that kind of voice of the Down the Hill. But there are a lot of people who have a better understanding of his voice matching up to Bridge Guy than I do. So hopefully on the witness stand, I don't know if the prosecution is going to have an expert saying, okay, I analyzed the Down the Hill plus your October 26th recorded interview, or Rick's phone interviews or not interviews, but his calls to his family while in prison. And is an expert going to say, yes, that matches the Bridge Guy? Baby Doll says, Rick is a sick individual. That's his motive. People have wondered, why would a 44-year-old man, which Rick was 44 at the time of the murders, why would he all of a sudden just go out on these trails at 1:30 and kill 2 girls with no like prior history? they do have his DNA. So I was curious to know, would his DNA match, since it's finally in their system, match up to any other crimes that are unsolved? And as far as we know at this point, he's not been charged with any other unsolved crimes. So I don't know. Big Bird, I'm not highlighting what you said about the abbreviation for BG. Sorry. Yeah, I'm like far behind on comments, so bear with me. I do have two more slides to go through. Hi, hello. Hi, Debbie. So Kagan was lying about the red Jeep. I want to know more about that. So Murder Sheet in one of their episodes prefaced it by saying Kagan is a known liar. He chirping is considered, that's a word for like texting between a prisoner or somebody in jail with somebody on the outside. So Kagan was communicating with a few, mostly females, as far as I know, and he was saying all kinds of stuff. I've seen somebody who was communicating with him sent a few screenshots to me and some other YouTube content creators, let's call them. That's not a diss. And from what I saw, it seemed to be legit with Kegan. And this person was asking, like, how were you involved in Delphi? Which car did you take to Delphi the day of the murders? And what was your dad wearing? And I don't have this specifically, so don't quote me on this, but I think the gist of it was we took my dad's red Jeep. My dad was wearing his jeans and his jacket, which he burned after we got home. So if you saw my 4.5 hour video on the Kleins, which I'm going to really smack somebody, one of my subscribers who said, Tom, can you do an update video on the Delphi murder? So I spent hundreds of hours reading Kagan's 2,100 tweets and hopefully, I mean, if they're not involved, then they're not involved, but whatever. Um, so was Kegan lying about that just to get people to continue sending him money for commissary, for food, and just so he would have people to talk to? I mean, I have no idea what to say about that because his dad has not been charged with anything, and Kegan has not been charged with anything, and police have had access to all of Kegan's communications, so they saw what he was saying to these people. I don't know. But like, why is he lying when previously he would say, I have nothing to do with Delphi? And then he's telling people, yeah, my dad and I went to Delphi that day. And why did he? Murder Sheet said he searched Marathon gas station on the day of the murders, the Marathon gas station in Delphi. So why would he do that? I don't know. And why did in August 2020, Kagan's police interview, they didn't even ask him why he searched that. So I don't know why, if that's even true evidence or not. MDR, Rick's appearance during the last court hearing is likely due to being medicated. His weight loss is due to absence of alcohol and bad food. 40 pounds in 8 months is not shocking weight loss. Ellie Joe Bonnie says he's going to die before trial. Well, they have somebody watching him all day, every day. So hopefully he's not going to. But if he does like some kind of guilty plea deal, hopefully he's going to reveal at least what happened, if not the motive, how this all played out. Cecil Hotel says they agree with Inspector Gidget. There's an Inspector Gadget, in case anybody doesn't know. Daughter probably saw him being weird around her friends when she was younger. Well, Rick's lawyer said he often went to the trails. I really want to know how often, who's going to corroborate this or corroborate, as Kagan says. Can his car or his phone give us some kind of evidence how much he went to the trails before and after the murders? It might be too late for that information. And are there other people who are local to Delphi who have seen him on the trails? or other girls or people who are now women who will say, yes, I saw him and he was creepy at some point. He lived in Delphi for 11 years before the murders. Hi, Callie. In my opinion, he's waiting to see if the judge allows the bullet and confessions. If she does allow, he will plea. All right, thank you. Cora Jean, hi. His daughter has surely got a mess in her mind and her heart with all this going on. I agree. It's horrible. It must be a scary reality to have to face. Totally agree. Oh my gosh. Billy, 1/3 of the way to 1,000. We're at 475. Hi, 475 people. Big fish, small pond. How did they house James Brian Chadwell? I don't know. He pled guilty without even a trial to the horrible things he did to that young girl who was his neighbor. I'm pretty sure he got 90 years. I don't know. He's in the big house is all I know. Baby doll, my question still is, does Tony Kline have nothing to do with that day's events and the murders? Tony's never been charged with CSAM or anything else, so at this point, no. Suzanne says, I noticed Tobe won't even have eye contact with him at the hearings. Yeah, I saw Tobe holds the door when Rick walks into the Carroll County Courthouse, and he wasn't really staring him down or anything. Hello? Lynn says murder sheet mentioned a jail snitch. I'm laughing because I don't know that snitch is. I get that that's the term, but Callie says Chris Watts is a child killer and alive and well. They don't always get killed in prison or beaten for hurting children anymore. Sad to say, but I mean, maybe killing your own children is seen as different than killing two strangers. Lynn says Rick refused to see his family. I don't know if that's true or not. His wife did see him May 30th, which you kind of have to wonder why it took her so long. I know that the defense says he was not able to see them face to face, but the warden said it was allowed. I don't know. Hi, Kate. Hippie says, look at him walking into the courthouse. When he sees the camera, he acts pitiful. Yeah, the murder sheet said he seemed out of it and medicated. Melodramatic Monday says, I'm really curious about how much of the self-incriminating evidence will be released next week. Absolutely wild. I'm not expecting huge evidence next week with these unsealed documents. I could be wrong. It might be, I don't know. I have no idea what to expect, but we'll see. I said that I might do a live chat. Why do I do these things to myself? If there's like a few like bombshell things that come out of these unsealed documents, I might do a live chat during the week. Who knows? We'll see. Gene Barker, in my opinion, he knows he's cooked. What is left? They must have a S load of evidence and he knows it equals suicide. Yeah, it's interesting that he, do I want to highlight this? No. I have a screenshot of that his defense team saying that they saw him, I think, on October 24th, and they presented him with optimistic news, which they did not refer to as like good evidence. They said, I think it was optimistic news about the direction of the case. And then they said Rick was blank. He was thankful about the optimistic news. He was something else about the optimistic news, and he was something else about the optimistic news. But then 10 days later, they noticed like he was totally incoherent. So what was that optimistic news that turned into pessimistic news for Rick? Soy says it takes almost 2 weeks to die of starvation. Right? Thank you. We don't want Rick to die of starvation. Everybody wants him to go to trial and get a fair trial. We all want to hear a lot of evidence, but I think most of us just want to get justice for the girls, whatever way that comes. Hopefully it's going to happen. Hi, Anne. I don't know if you're still here. You wrote that like 45 minutes ago. We have somebody new here. Karen. Hi, Karen. Who appointed the defense team for Rick? He wrote a letter. I guess when he was first arrested, I guess he tried to interview a few lawyers, and in his letter to the judge asking for help, a public defender, he said, I didn't know how expensive it would be to even just talk to a lawyer. So he was assigned 2 defense lawyers, both of who have experience for the death penalty in case that comes up. DNA King is a lawyer. I don't know. Can anybody explain at what point would this death penalty come into play for Rick? They're seemingly far from persistent. Agree with you about Carroll County's potential inability for holding Rick. Oh my gosh. I'm not highlighting that, but here we go real quick. Next. Can't go longer than 3 days without water. If he wanted to kill himself, he would do that 24 hours. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be an interesting few months between now and January. Who knows if the trial's going to actually happen in January? Jen says Carol Lieberman was speculating on Court TV within the past few days that it was a kidnapping gone wrong, and Rick was supposed to take them to Ron Logan's, and Kegan was supposed to meet them. That's a hell of a conspiracy theory. It wasn't a confession. Yeah, I don't know. Some people seem to have that was from the Daily Mail article. We won't go into that. Sorry, I'm just looking for comments for stuff we haven't talked about yet. Patty Jean says, come on, we all confess to murders when we're having a breakdown, right? I get angry and I scream, I'm the Zodiac. It's definitely suspicious that he's done like 5 to 6 comments that make you go, But at what point do those comments become an official change of plea? Big Bird on Doobie says they can't legally put a feeding tube in anybody. They can't force feed anybody. He stops drinking water, then we should get concerned. Otherwise, his big booty is just fine. Anne says Rick is getting proper incarceration routine treatment. Appearance equals 1. Thank you for numbering your points. 1, undergoing detox. 2, deliberately shape-shifting for trial dissimilarity to Bridge Guy video. Good point. 3, wants to transfer to a psych hospital. I don't know if he goes into some kind of like incompetency thing. I think he might go into a psych hospital for up to 6 months. And at what point is he going to like make a turnaround back to his normal self or sanity? Peter says he could just be saying that what he's already said. He was at the bridge and wearing the same clothes. That's incriminating. I agree, but it seems like they would not be bringing that up if it's the same old stuff, Peter. Hi, N, whatever that stands for. Hi to your cat, too. Competency to stand trial doesn't have anything to do with prior mental health issues. What matters is if the defendant is sane enough to be present for the trial itself. Yeah, I don't think he can say he's like insanity plea, because we know that for 5.5 years after the murders, he went back to his job. So it's not like he was insane at the time of the murders. Your stain is gone now. Looks like, thank you. Yeah, it dried. 6'1" ish, 6'1.5". Hi, Matt. Recently, I wondered if the story about the misfiled interview with Rick and the conservation officer was just a cover up for the fact that Kegan dobbed him in and thus needs protecting as a witness. I have not seen, I don't know that they would lie about that in the PCA. The PCA said investigators reviewing prior tips. And it seems like Kegan said to the murder sheet recently, he tried to talk to Slick Nick, and the prosecutor McClelland didn't want to talk to him. I don't know. Also, have you done any investigation about Aaron's suspect for Missy Beaver's murder? I did a quick video, which he wasn't happy about. I'm talking about Aaron. Yeah, drama. Anyway, he said that I crave attention, which we all know that that's not true. Yeah, so Missy Beavers is the other case I've done a deep dive on. Like, I spent 600 hours plus over 8 months trying to figure it out, and I failed. So Aaron Stoner, who I think is very good at what he does, but he came up with a recent video which I just disagreed with, and people asked me, Tom, what do you think? And I tried to recreate this face that he sees in this car window at night, like 100 feet away during a rainstorm. And I couldn't, it doesn't add up to me. So I don't know, Matt, I might have done a few things, but it doesn't add up to me. So that's my official comment on that. If you have not seen my quick, like 6-minute video, I show why I disagree instead of just saying a comment that I disagree. Next. And pictures of Rick at the hearing that I thought most telling was when he came out of the elevator, immediately looked over for all the press cameras, looked totally alert and conniving to me, chilling narcissist. Yeah, I showed a picture of him earlier in this live chat. We're at an hour and a half, like maybe an hour and a half ago. I think most of you have seen his most recent face. Big fish, small pond. Everyone should stop for a second and imagine that Rick is innocent. Actually, imagine that was you. Innocent until proven guilty isn't just a fun saying. I agree. However, I don't have a lot of sympathy, to be honest, because I cannot get past the fact that he said I was on platform 1 and then I went to a bench and I did not see Abby and Libby. And nobody has been able to give me a decent explanation about that, which I'm going to show some pictures in a second, but hold on. Ditch Comfort. I don't know what kind of $25 that is. It's not American, but thank you very much for donating. I appreciate it. That'll go to my next Taco Bell cup, which hopefully I won't spill. Oh yeah, so I want to show some stuff. Hold on. I'm going to show the trail. What am I doing here? Hold on. I am going to show some pictures of the trail for some of us who prefer to see some visual stuff. Where am I? I have 8 screenshots. So like an hour ago, I found this video on YouTube. I think I'll show her name in a second. I think it's Bonnie Rame. She walked from the Mears parking lot to the bridge in April 2017. So what am I doing here? So my first picture I'm going to show, this is going to take like the next 3 minutes in case you're not interested. It took her 5 minutes and 30 seconds to walk from Mears to the start of the bridge. So I have 8 screenshots from this woman, Bonnie Rame. The title is Trail Leading to the Monon High Bridge in Delphi, Indiana. So let me share this. Hold on. Stop, go, share. Can you see that? Let me take this off. Hold on. Thank you again. All right, so you guys can see this. So the bottom here, the timestamp says, hold on, 29 seconds. The video is 6 minutes and 34 seconds. So around 30 seconds, she turned at the Mears Lot intersection where that bench number 5 is, and she starts walking towards the bridge. So this is what it looks like. You cannot see the bridge, but this trail is not that windy. So I'm showing you this to show you like how far Rick could have seen when he gets off of platform 1 and going to the bench. This is this area where the first bench he could have sat on is. So he says, I went to platform 1 and then a bench for about an hour and a half and I didn't see anybody. Okay, next, hold on, sorry. Next one is at 2.5 minutes. So 2.5 minutes into the walk from Mears to the bridge. So witness 4 said she passed Abby and Libby about halfway between Mears Lot and the bridge. So this is approximately 2.5 minutes from Mears Lot heading towards Monon High Bridge. You still cannot see the bridge. And I know some people are going to say, well, maybe Rick got off and went into the woods. I'll get into that in a second. He did not say that he went into the woods. He said he went from platform 1 to a bench. So that's the second of 8 screenshots. Sorry if this is boring, but this is at 3.5 minutes into the walk from the bridge, or sorry, from Mears to the bridge. Sorry, this is time consuming. So this is at 4 minutes in the video. She started at the Mears Lot at 30 seconds. So this is 3.5 minutes after she's walked from Mears. So it's getting close to the bridge here. You cannot see it yet though. Close that. Next up is 4 of 8. This is at the 4 minutes from Mears. And you can see the bridge here. So how does Rick go off of platform 1? He can see, unfortunately, I don't have the opposite view. I'll just keep showing a few more of these. There's 5 more. Let's see. So this one is 4.5 minutes from Mears. And you can see here's this gate that was removed, and there was a tree here, and there's some other kind of like bushes over here. And again, thanks to Bonnie Rame. She doesn't know that I'm using these, but hopefully she doesn't mind. Okay, 3 more. So this is 5 minutes and 15 seconds from Mears. So I think this is important. Let me make sure you guys can see. Okay. You're this close to the bridge, and right here, I know some of you can't really see. So here is platform 1. So for witness 4 to see Rick, she said she saw a white man wearing like bridge guy's clothes. Rick never said that he saw her. So let me show 2 more things real quick. Let's see. So that's 6. 7 is, I have labeled as a view of platform 1. Here we go. I have no idea what you guys are writing in the comments. So this is a better view. This is where you can kind of see better. However, she would have had to walk even further over here to get a good view of whoever was standing on there. Was Rick, I mean, she saw that he was white, so he must have been maybe standing sideways. Could she have just peeked real quick and then turned around without him seeing her? I have 1 more. I'm not sure what it's of. Let's see. So yeah, so this says it took 5 minutes and 30 seconds from Mears to get to like the start of the bridge. I'll show you this last one here. So that took 5 minutes. It says down here 6 minutes. She started from Mears at 30 seconds. So that's 5 minutes and 30 seconds to get there. How does Rick, this is platform one. He said, I was on platform one. Witness four does seem to be an honest witness. There are timestamps of her car leaving and arriving. She was there for 28 minutes from 1:46 to 2:14. How does Rick get from here back to the first bench is at the Mears lot and not see Abby and Libby? I cannot figure out how that can happen. So I think Rick is lying. So I don't have a lot of sympathy for what he's going through. Sorry. Let's see. Let me go to the recent comments. Sorry, I'm just looking here. Hippie says, really sus that flannel shirt guy did not see the girls and steered Derek German away from the bridge, in my opinion. Well, I don't know. We don't know what time flannel shirt guy got to the trails. And if Abby and Libby were taken off the bridge at 2:13, are you referring to the adult females or Abby and Libby? Where am I here? Sorry. Susan H., how many people were there that day? What are the odds that Alan was one of them? I can't do the math. So what we know of is the flannel shirt guy. We don't know when these people arrived. It was not included in the PCA. So we have the flannel shirt guy, we have the arguing couple, and also these two adult females who I think they arrived around 2:45, the adult females, and then the arguing couple. Rick says he saw none of these people, and I was thinking, how could that be possible? And if Rick did go down to like the first bench and all these other people who came later parked at Mears and only hung around Mears and the bridge, then okay, maybe he did not see them. But to me, obviously, the most important thing is he says he didn't see Abby and Libby. How can you not see them? And if somebody's saying, well, maybe he went into the woods to go to the bathroom, I don't agree with that. He arrived at 1:30 from his house, which is only 6 to 7 minutes away. However, he took the long way, which I think was 11 to 13 minutes. So it's like, why was he even taking the long way? If he knew he was going for exercise on a trails, he would have used the restroom first. So if you're saying like he's going into the woods to go to the bathroom, it doesn't make sense to me. And did he say that to the police? No, he said he went from platform one to a bench for an hour and a half and he did not see a single person. It does not add up to me. Cincinnati girl, hate me, but I think Rick is an innocent man. Okay, so how does he go from platform one to a bench and not see anybody for an hour and a half? Like somebody explain how he does not see Abby and Libby, who are 2.5 minutes away from the bridge when he's last seen on platform one. Nobody has given me a decent explanation. I know it's not easy to write long explanations in this chat, so if you're watching the replay in the comments below, like give me a decent explanation how Rick gets off platform one and then goes to a bench and does not see Abby and Libby. I have an open mind, but the way I've seen it, I cannot figure it out. And the police haven't either because they said he is bridge guy and responsible for at least their kidnapping and killing. Sluther V. If witness 4 had walked across that bridge, what would have been her fate? Yeah, some people have speculated, was he just there to do something to some woman? People say, well, why didn't he do anything to the 3 girls, the juveniles that he saw near Freedom Bridge? It's, to me, I think he parked at CPS because he needed to walk the entire trail to see who was there before he got to Freedom Bridge to see could he do any kind of nefarious plan that he was there? His stuff, then in his jacket, there was a lot of stuff. So to me, it seems like this was some kind of somewhat premeditated. I have no idea exactly what he was doing. I don't know. High Liberty doesn't strike me as much of an exerciser. I don't know. He was there often, according to his defense team. Big fish, small pond. How was Rick not in Libby's first pick? Well, her first pick was the full bridge, as far as we know. And if you saw my recent 2 videos, I zoomed in on that, and I'm not saying it's true, but it does look like there could be a small figure and shadow at the end of the bridge on the south end that could have been Rick. Why would Libby start recording her video when Rick was walking towards them? Did he pass them on the bridge and then turn around? What caused her to be scared? He had to have seen them at some point. So was he hanging around behind that gate, which I just showed? Hold on. I deleted that part. Hold on. No, hold on. All right, I'm going to share this real quick. So how was Rick not in Libby's pictures? I just talked about the long picture, which I don't have that to show right now. You should all be watching all of my videos to know all of my evidence. So Libby took a photo of Abby on the bridge, and we see in the background, we see this post. Could Rick not have been standing right here? He's 5'4". He could have been standing right here and be hidden. I mean, I'm fine with you disagreeing with me, but I don't think I'm wrong in saying that Rick could have been here, or he could have been at the far end. Even when she took the photo of Abby in this direction, what if Rick was all the way down here? And I said in my Rick deep dive video, did she take the full picture of the bridge without Abby in it because she thought she saw some guy all the way at the end, and she took the picture to like zoom in on her phone to see who was it down there? I don't know. I'm fine being wrong, but I'm just sharing my opinions. I'm fine with you guys sharing yours. Lady Monet, he had a gun, a knife, and possibly signature items under his jacket. Yeah. Why are you going to exercise on a trail and bringing a gun and a knife? I understand that he's not very tall, and there were rumors that there were like meth cooking in the woods. So, I mean, I guess he could bring his gun for safety, but like, why is he also bringing a knife? And the jacket was just bulging too much to be him not having some kind of items in there. So what were there any signature items left at the crime scene that could have been stuffed in his jacket? Hi, Miss Dog Lover. Rick was definitely close by, in my opinion. Yeah. I can't understand how he gets from platform 1 to a bench and doesn't see anybody, especially Abby and Libby, who were headed towards the bridge. Big fish, small pond. I know you're like not happy with me, but I'm fine like having a discussion with you. So do you think anyone was underneath the bridge? Well, there's only really one place to be under the bridge, I think, and that's the private drive. So I have no idea. I have no idea that if there's anybody else involved. I'm just saying I cannot see how Rick says that he did not see Abby and Libby. It just doesn't make sense to me. And I've not seen anybody else give like a decent explanation. So therefore, I think he's involved somehow. And just remember, there are these recent rumors from a few days ago that he is saying some kind of incriminating statements, which, I mean, we're all entitled to our own opinions and evaluation of this stuff. And hopefully we will get some answers when the trial comes and justice is going to be served. I mean, I don't need to be proven right. I just want justice for these girls and whoever did this to pay the price. Hi, SP74. I think Bridge Guy is not in the Abby pick because she takes it from platform 3. And he waits till they're further across before he steps onto the bridge. He had plenty of time to catch up to them. Yeah, I mean, he had to have been somewhat close. So it's either he was at the south end, or like I just showed, he could have been fairly close behind that gate and not show up in Abby's picture. Mandy LC. Rick forgot his fishing pole. Maybe he was going to shoot the fish from 60 feet up. Sinbad Sailor. I think Rick was on the southeast side when the girls entered the bridge. He did a U-turn when he passed them. Headline News believes the same thing. I think it could be possible. I cannot rule out that that's not Rick at the end of the bridge, the south end, in that photo, where it's just the bridge itself. And I mean, what caused Libby to take a photo of this or a video of this guy? It had to have been something that scared them. Either they saw him on the trail going in the same direction as witness 4, and then they're like, why is this guy coming back onto this bridge, which is very small? Like, how is he going to pass us on the small bridge? So I don't know what caused her, Libby, to start recording. Hi, Hooky Bricks Hooky. Where's Jamuki Dookie? Jamuki Dookie was not happy with my evidence video. They're on a strike. Could it be a clever defense to make multiple meaningless confessions that contradict each other? I don't know if he's acting crazy if he knows that he's guilty of something but does not want to actually admit it in court to himself or to his family. Is he okay, like saying, okay, I'll act crazy and be guilty some other way? I don't know. Let's see. Sorry, I skipped over like 45 minutes of comments. I shouldn't be laughing at that. What haven't we talked about? Yes, Marshall makes a good point. Hold on. Everybody is allowed an opinion. Please do not attack those that disagree with you. Yes. I mean, I might say some sarcastic things sometimes, like with people who don't agree, but I truly do appreciate other people sharing their opinions. And just because I'm the one who's on screen, it doesn't mean that I'm acting like I'm right. Oh, Baby Doll says I have to stop apologizing. Hi, CJK. Rick has already said he is the BG. That's not true. Sorry. BG is responsible for kidnapping and presumably the murder. So Rick said he was on the bridge, but I think BG is considered the guy in Libby's video. He has not said that he was that guy because he said he did not see the girl filming him. So I just want to clarify that. But I mean, as you say, he said he was wearing the same things. He was on platform 1 2 to 3 minutes before they arrived at the bridge. It's like he said he did not see anybody else in the area, no other guys wearing the exact same thing as bridge guys. So a lot of the evidence is pointing to Rick. And in the PCA, law enforcement says Rick is bridge guy. The Devil's Hop Yard. There are 2 witnesses not generally known to sleuthing boards who are also searchers. All right, I'm not sure about that. Somebody's going to have to private me some inside information. JW, watching the stock market. Yeah. I really hope that Slick Nick is doing some kind of investigation into Rick's stock research activities prior to 2017 and after. He definitely would have had like a 401k retirement plan through CVS Pharmacy. Is a large company in the United States, so I'm sure they have retirement plans. So, I mean, he was 44 at the time of the murders. Why is he looking at stock market stuff on his phone? I did research for my Rick deep dive, and nothing of note took place on February 13th, 2017. That would have been interesting for him to be watching a stock ticker for 2 hours. Daniel, he was there to check his stock ticker and watch the fish. Yeah, sure he was. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if they can get any of this forensics off of his phone or his car that I reviewed in my recent evidence video. Unfortunately, I think it might be too late. Sluther. Could Allen had hid right below the bridge at the northeast in that little down the hill area? Um, I'm not sure. I'm not sure, so I can't say anything. Kim Smart agrees that there is a shadow. Yeah, tried to show an example of other photos that other people have taken of that uh, end of the bridge, and it does not really match up the same way as Libby's shadow. However, it is very far away. The quality is not great, so I'm not saying it definitely is, but it was something that when I zoomed in on the higher, there's a few different versions of it on like Google of Libby's um, photo of that full bridge, and the one when I zoomed in, it definitely was kind of suspicious that there looked like there could have been a small body of a 5'4" person. Team Hackett, he took a very big gamble taking them from there. Anyone could have seen him. Makes you think he had a lookout. Yeah, I mean, I was thinking it was. I mean, even if he was near the gate during like the photo of Abby, and then he's like, okay, I look and I see nobody's coming from Mears. What if somebody just parked at Mears and like I just showed, they would have had like 5.5 minutes before they were at the bridge. So he had a very small time to take them down the hill and get them across the creek, which some people think they didn't go across the creek, but I don't know. Cincinnati girl, why the mental breakdown now? Why not 5 to 6 years ago if he did this? There's a rumor that he did go to a mental institution after the murders, but it's just a rumor. I don't know if the prosecution has gotten any kind of evidence about that. I'm curious to know how much they interviewed his wife, other than the October 13th raid where they're outside for 11 hours. WL22. What's missing is if Rick stated, yes, that's me in the video on Libby's phone. We don't know if they asked him or his response. I'm trying to think about what the PCA said. Well, if he said, yes, it's me on the video, it definitely would have been in the PCA. Police did say in the PCA, we believe Richard Allen is the man on the bridge in Libby's video. But he said, like I just said before, if he's saying that he did not see Abby and Libby, that means he would never agree that he is bridge guy. Because then at the end of that video, he says down the hill, which is kidnapping, which means he's guilty of this felony murder charge. What are we at? Almost 2 hours? You guys are going to force me to do another 2 hour or another hour? Not two. I still have two more PowerPoint slides to look forward to. All right. Yeah. Let's not take this too seriously, you guys. We all have different perspectives and opinions. So I'm not saying you guys are wrong for most stuff. I'm kidding. Thank you, JW. Yeah, I make my video. I do this research trying to like figure stuff out myself, and I spend a fair amount of time like trying to organize it so it helps other people. So I appreciate that some people find it helpful because it's kind of confusing or disappointing trying to help and not solving this stuff. Hi, Charles. Thanks for making it. You're 2 hours late. Let me say this real quick. Hold on. Hi, Humanimal. I know you're from Australia. Thank you for waking up early. Charmaine. If Rick was on his stock ticker, law enforcement would know by his cell phone pings. Yeah, I'm not sure if the cell phone pings are only if a text or cell phone call is initiated or received. I'm not sure if data would do a cell phone ping. But I talked about that stuff in my evidence video, so I don't know that I got anything right, though. But it'll be interesting to see if his phone was off. Strictly Chaos, my member said, what if his phone was off because he knew he was there to do something nefarious? Yet he said, oh, I was looking at a stock ticker on my phone. It's like, Rick, your phone was off. That's guilty. Hi, Miss Jean? Jan? I believe Doug Carter, said Rick was sitting in a bench when the girls walked by. The girls thought he was a creepy guy. I don't know about that. The 3 juveniles who walked by Rick described him as creepy. There has been rumors that on Libby's video, they did reference him being creepy. In my first Delphi video, I did speculate that it seemed like the best location to see who was on the trails would be at the Mears bench at that intersection. And apparently I was wrong about that and a lot of other stuff, but I'm not sure that Doug said that. Hooky Bricks Hooky says, when I was a rookie at the stock market, I watched the stock ticker all the time. I mean, I don't know how much money does he have to be playing the stock market. I'm not dissing anybody who's a worker at CVS, but I don't know. Hopefully that'll show up in the evidence either for or against him. Chico's mummy, as soon as the prosecutor announces death penalty, there will be a change of plea. Yeah, in yesterday's member chat, we were saying after Kegan's witness list was revealed, including his dad having to be on the witness stand, he seemed to say that he was guilty soon after. So should Slick Nick release a witness list, I don't know if it's too far away, it's probably too far away from the trial date, that shows Rick's wife, daughter, and his mother, is he going to be like, oh my gosh, I cannot have them have to stay? Well, actually, I think they're not required to be on the stand. I don't know. Can somebody clarify about family members being forced to testify during a trial? Team Hackett, surely Rick's wife would have noticed if some of his clothes went missing during this time. However, the defense is saying he did not, he still had the jacket that he wore from February 2017 during their raid in October 2022. I'm still confused because Rick said he wore a blue or black Carhartt jacket, and his wife said in 2022 he still has a blue Carhartt jacket. I'm sure a lot of you have seen Carhartt jackets are more like construction worker type jackets that have a heavier material. However, Bridge Guy seems to be wearing a windbreaker, like a lighter material, because you can see in the front pocket, there's an outline. I don't know if it's the gun or not or something else, but there's definitely an item that would not really show up in the pocket of a heavier material type jacket, which Carhartt seems to be. So if at the end of this 43-second video, it gives a better view of this jacket, does it match something that they took from Rick's closet or house on whatever, October 13th? Jennifer, I really like your idea about taking the satellite's images back in time. Yeah, unfortunately, that didn't really pan out. I spent a lot of time trying to get, that was when I first started looking into Delphi at the 4-year anniversary in February 2021. What I saw was like Doug Carter saying, we're looking for, yeah, this is another angle we can talk about. We have to fill up another hour's worth of time. Doug Carter at April 2019 says, we're looking for the driver of a vehicle who is parked at the CPS building between noon and 5 on February 13th. So I tried to find a satellite image, and apparently Rick didn't even get there till 1:30. So my satellite image was from 12:58, and it was so blurry that it really didn't add anything. So that was a waste of time. For people who were wondering why I have a Dennis Rodman emoji, I explained it during one of my member chats, and it's really embarrassing. It's about the satellite image and Kim Jong-un and stuff. So why did Rick and his wife not go to police in April 2019 when they're saying, we're looking for the driver who was parked at CPS? between noon and 5, and Rick was there from 1:30 to 3:30. Yes, he did previously tell a conservation officer that he had parked there, or he said he parked at the Farm Bureau building, which that's not true. The only place he could have parked and passed these 3 girls at whatever time, um, it had to be the CPS lot. Space Cowboy, thank you very much for giving me some money. So is Kegan Kline just a giant jumbo nothing burger in terms of involvement in this case? According to law enforcement, at this point, yes. They've had 6 years to find anything to charge him with Delphi, and time keeps going by, and there's no charges for him or his dad. So at this point, yes, I'm guessing that's the case. So back to Rick parking at CPS and them asking for the driver. Why did his wife not go to police? I've said previously that CVS is only 1 block from Carroll County Sheriff's Office, and why did he not walk over there and say, "Hey, I just want to remind you that I was parked at CPS from 1:30 to 3:30. I did not see any other cars, or I did see other cars." I mean, that's suspicious to me if he did not come forward in April 2019 when they're saying, "Hey, we're looking for help again. Help us out." His defense lawyers were saying, "Oh, he was helpful and came forward." Well, that was in 2017. What did he do in 2019 when they're asking for more help again? I don't know. Miss Dog Lover, his wife may be scared of him. Well, he's behind bars now, so I don't know. What is he going to do? Oh, God, 514 people. Hi, everybody. I'll get to my 2 remaining PowerPoint slides in a second. Let's see. Humanimal. Yep, he could have just reiterated, "Yes, I was on the bridge." That could be how he implicated himself. We need to wait and see. Well, did he say he was on the bridge when they were filming? I don't know. Space Cowboy, from the early picture of the man on the bridge, what grinds my gears is how his wife did not recognize the outfit, build. I think when you know someone well, you would recognize even a grainy photo of them. And also, they released the Down the Hill 2 days after the murder. So I don't know. Thank you, Cecil Hotel, for loving my lives and for sharing your comments and thoughts. I'm not highlighting that one. Britt Marie, EK, it was lots of blood and a souvenir was taken. What if it was the comb of one of the girls to hide another crime? How? I don't know about that. Robert Ives, the previous prosecutor, said there were several signatures at the crime scene. I think he said at least 3. We don't know if it was 3 objects or 3 whatever staging, whatever it could be. It doesn't have to be physical objects. I think they said that there were panties and a sock from one of the victims was missing. People have been wondering, was that something that Rick took home and put in his shed or buried that the police were looking for on October 13th? If so, why was that not in the PCA? And will it show up in at the bail hearing where they have to maybe show some more evidence? I don't know. I'm curious to know what these signatures were at the crime scene. Hi, Gretchen. Thanks for joining. We still have another 50 minutes or so. Humanimal says about Rick's wife, codependence can explain that. It answers many questions. Not saying that that is it, but it would fit. Oh, Richard was using a burner phone. Was that unusual for him? I don't know that he was using a burner phone. I've not seen that. Was not in the PCA. Joel says turning your phone off at this point is crazier They're just having your phone on you. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they can get any kind of forensics from his phone, if he still has it. Charles says the family says at the video, in Libby's video, they spoke of him as a creepy guy. All right, thank you. And why did he have something covering his mouth and his head like a hoodie when he passed the three girls? I mean, was he trying to hide that he works at the local CVS in case they came in? And some people are like, why would he go to the law enforcement? We still don't know exactly which day he went or called in and then talked to the conservation officer at the grocery store. However, why would he even call police to say I was at the trails that day? If he did not, he knows that he passed these three girls. He works at CVS in this small town. What if these girls came in, even if his face was mostly covered, and they recognized his eyes and his height and said, Mom, that's the guy who I passed on the trails. And then they go over to the police and the police say, Rick, were you on the trails that day? And he says, oh, yeah. Well, why didn't you come forward in the first week or so, or first few weeks when we were looking for help? It looks totally guilty. So maybe that was his reason, thinking he had to at least say he was there, but that he only saw those three girls and not witness four, not Abby and Libby. He did not see all these other people. So I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of why he would have come forward. Charmaine says, in Idaho, the Idaho case with Brian Koberger, law enforcement knew that Xana was on TikTok until 420, which is why I thought maybe because the stock ticker uses cell data, it would log the info. Okay, thank you. No, but I was wondering if the cell tower would know that Rick's phone was connected, not necessarily his phone, because we don't know if he still has that phone from 5.5 years ago when they raided his house in October. Hold on. Why can't I highlight this? Hold on. Stacy's mom, he'll plead guilty to avoid the death penalty. Well, at what point are they going to bring up the death penalty? So speed it up, Slick Nick. CJK says, Abby asked if the creepy guy was still behind them, and Libby said, is my recollection. Yeah, I think I've heard something like that. So would he have been behind them if he had been on the south end of the bridge? I don't know. Something made them scared to start videotaping and be concerned. Core Jean, I've heard some murderers say they fought the urge for decades before it became overwhelming. Many have admitted murder was their first crime ever committed, and it was spontaneous. All right, thank you. Yeah, so Rick, I don't think anybody's really been able to find any online presence of Rick. I mean, he doesn't seem like he's going to be doing TikTok dancing videos. Oh my God, did you see that video of him in the bar, like a fish out of water? That would have gotten like -5 likes. So Charles says, plus you trade stocks, but you have no online presence. I mean, he was 44, so who knows what he would have been doing online. CR, change of plea. What does that mean? So Rick has said he entered a not guilty plea, and change of plea would be saying, okay, I'm guilty, or let's work out some kind of plea deal where the prosecution would say, okay, if you admit guilt, instead of us going for the death penalty, we'll just give you life in prison. Hopefully I answered that correctly. Marshall, yes, but why? I don't know what you wrote here. Yes, but why would T be just act insane? If he is faking it, adding in over and over that he did it as his plan to look crazy, that is the dumbest risk ever, right? Why would he make it harder for himself? I don't know. Hippie, any attorneys in chat? DNA King was here at the start, but he probably had better things to do later. Hi, Carmel Hughes Peroila. SP, wife only can't be compelled to testify. Yeah, because Kegan's dad was on the witness list, so parents are allowed to be forced to testify? I'll have to do some research on that maybe. I'm not doing a video on it though. Charles, plus if he confessed, why was his family so shocked of if they knew? Yeah, we don't know exactly who he's saying these statements to. CJK, your spouse cannot be forced to testify. All others, yes, I believe. Okay. I mean, I don't think this is going to be televised, this trial, because A, it involves juveniles, including these 3 juvenile witnesses who passed Rick. I don't know. I mean, I would love to see, I mean, I don't want to see any gory pictures or anything, but I would prefer, obviously, I've spent so much time looking at this case and thinking about it that I'd like to see it play out in real time, but we might only get a transcript because I don't think Judge Gull is going to allow it to be televised. Thank you, Ivy. Patty Jean, after all of your research, what do you think happened that day? That's the problem. I've spent like over 1,000 hours over the past 2 years trying to figure it out, and I have no clue other than what I said about the gun. Maybe the bullet popped out at that point. I don't know if the girls tried to run across the creek. We know that Libby's shoe or sneaker was on the south side of the creek. Another one was in the water. I don't know. How does some like 5'4" guy control 2 girls going across a creek? How does he kill 2 girls without one of them being able to just run away? I don't know. So there's very few things that I feel comfortable saying that I know. Whatever, this is definitely a fact, and this is not. Which let me go to my PowerPoint. Let me see what's on it first. Um, all right, let me just go through this real quick. Hold on. Let's go through these slides real quick. Okay, so I don't know if some of you, I think I know some of you saw my recent 47, it's not as long as my other ones, it's 47 minutes, my Rick Allen evidence video. Was there any evidence, like potential evidence that I may have missed? I think I mentioned this before. So, oh yeah, so as of this past Thursday, Rick's confessions to medical personnel can be presented to a jury and are outside attorney-client privilege, although there seems to be that one motion saying that the prosecution does not have access to his medical record. So I don't know if police, or sorry, the prosecution is going to try and get any other incriminating statements to medical personnel to be allowed to be used at the trial. I already referenced Big Bird 420 saying Rick's wife's or daughter's Google searches trying to figure out if Rick was bridge guy soon after the murders. And I also said this before, no one has been able to answer my question about how Rick gets from platform 1 to a bench without seeing or passing Abby and Libby. I'm open to your theories, but it better make sense. All right, this is my last slide. Various. Someone, I already talked about this. Someone in my evidence comments made a good point. Nick McClellan talking about other actors back in November 2022, which is one of his reasons for not releasing the PCA. Does that mean that police compared Rick's DNA to DNA at the crime scene and it did not match Rick's, which makes them think there was somebody else at the crime scene? Jimmy Duvall sketch. Let me show that real quick. Actually, do I have it? Hold on. Yes, I do. So hold on. Hold up. Wait a minute. Here we go. I honestly don't know a lot about this Jimmy Duvall guy. Let me take this off. Hold on, so you can see. Yeah, people get triggered when I say hold on too much. Let me take off my banner. Hide. All right. So yes, if you look at this, Rick has changed a lot. I think this was I don't know, was this the 2018 Tennessee trip that they took with his wife? In the middle is this guy, Jimmy Duvall, and I guess he was a local rapist. So the reason I'm showing this and the sketch, one of the juvenile girls, her mom apparently showed her a picture of Jimmy Duval soon after the murders and said, "Does this look like the guy you passed on the trail?" And I'm not trying to spread false rumors, but I'm pretty sure from what I've heard, the girl saw this picture of the guy in the middle and said, "Yes, he looks like that." So it's up to all of you to decide, does that look like Rick? So at this point, she did not know who Rick Allen was. Did this juvenile girl go into CVS at any point, or the two other girls who passed him, and did they recognize a similarity to the guy that they passed on the trails? I don't know. So that was just on my PowerPoint there. Also on my PowerPoint, some people are going to get upset about this. Hold on. Ron Logan. This is my last time talking about Ron Logan. Oh, yeah, I have some other things I have to do. Hold on. Tom is sighing. How much more time? All right. Fig Solves, which I know a lot of you know who he is. He has his own YouTube channel. It's not as iconic as mine. I'm kidding. So he was able to find a few months ago this video of good old 77-year-old Ron Logan, who's not supposed to be driving. As I'm sure all of you know, Ron Logan went to the transfer station, which is like the recycling station, approximately at noon. So some people, I'm not trying to like upset anybody who thinks Ron Logan is Bridge Guy. However, this is 2 hours before Bridge Guy was whatever, close to the bridge. He's wearing boots almost up to his knees. Bridge Guy is not. His jeans are very baggy and a lot darker blue than Bridge Guy's. His jacket is not the same as Bridge Guy's, and it doesn't have a hood. He has nothing on his head. To me, his voice sounds nothing like Bridge Guy. Ron was 77 years old at the time of the murders. To me, if you compare like the voice of a 20-year-old, a 44-year-old, and a 77-year-old, all of us can tell, like, not to be rude, but like old person's voice. I'm sure somebody's like, Tom, right now you sound like you're 99. But let me take a drink from my Taco Bell cup. Hold on. So I don't know. I'm not trying to change people's minds who think Ron Logan is Bridge Guy, but maybe that train left the tracks, everybody. Uh-oh. What else do I have on here? Oh yeah, I wanted to show, I showed this yesterday. Give me a hot minute. What am I doing? All right, so I don't know if you guys have seen this stuff. Give me 1 second. I found this the other day. I know you guys have seen like an aerial view of Rick's house, but I found this nosy reporter who did this video from October 28th, the day that Rick's arrest was announced. And they took video of Rick's backyard. So I just want to share this with people who have not seen this, just so you can like have this in your mind when you're thinking about the case later. So the pool and the fence, that's not Rick's yard. So in front of that fence on the right there is a shed. That's Rick's shed, which the police were on this property for 11 hours. They mentioned that they dug up a fire pit, which I have this second screenshot that I'm going to show right now. Give me 1 second. It's just zoomed in on this fire pit area here. So it doesn't look like they dug that deep. However, I don't know, were they looking for any kind of DNA evidence or fibers that maybe match the crime scene? So that's that. All right, that's it for my, give me 1 second. Yeah, that's all the stuff. That's all my PowerPoint slides and my photos. 2 hours and 24 minutes, let's see. I'm sighing. Team Hackett, guessing he'd have washed blood of himself from the creek. Okay, so this is an interesting point. I don't have, do I have this? I'm thinking about the clothes. I'm sure you guys have seen the clothes in the creek, so I'm not going to waste my time like bringing it up on screen. They're in the creek. They found it looks like Libby's tie-dye shirt, possibly her underwear is like a white object, and then one of her shoes was found in the same area. So to me, I don't know if Rick is the only person who's involved with this killing, but why would he put 3 items in the creek? To me, it seems like he may have gotten his DNA on those items and was concerned that he needed to go down to the creek and like wash them off in the water. And if he let all 3 items off in the creek at the same time, then it seems like they would have ended up in the same position. So did he wash his hands of blood and wash these items off and like get them any of his DNA off Team Hackett? Maybe. It seems like a fairly decent explanation to me. I'm sure a lot of you disagree, but um, yeah, that's that. Hi, Dave. Nice to see you. Sorry, somebody. All right, I'll just say this. Shelly says Rick probably wore the panties and sock daily. I don't know about that, but why would he put these 3 items in the creek, but take 2 items home, like a panties and sock? And what, like, he lives with his wife. I mean, did he, I don't know, put it in his shed? And why would he keep that stuff when, I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me that he would have taken items from the crime scene at home and he still has them 5.5 years later. Hopefully, we'll find out some information soon about that. Yeah, a lot of people don't want to be confined to the innocent until proven guilty thing. I won't be on the jury, so I say he's guilty. If he acts crazy, maybe he thinks he'll be afforded more grace. I don't know. Marshall, didn't someone say they saw a guy, Rick, they passed with blood on his clothes? Maybe I'm wrong. No, you're not wrong. But a lot of people are skeptical of this witness who was captured at 3:57 on the Hoosier Harvest store camera and said she saw a muddy and bloody guy who looked like he had been in a fight at 3:57 walking in the direction of CPS, which is where Rick's car was. Some people are saying that this witness did not come forward until possibly up to 6 months after the murders, which is like, why would you not come forward with that information soon after the murder? So I understand that that's somewhat suspicious, and other people are, somebody apparently like doxed and identified this person and said that they were charged with attempted murder using a car, I think. And then they're saying that the attempted murder charge was dropped. And people are kind of like this conspiracy theory that because this woman came forward and said, I saw Rick, that law enforcement is like, oh, we'll just forget about you trying to kill somebody with your car, which, I mean, that doesn't add up to me. I mean, some people also said, how would they know that it was mud and blood? But on this Route 300, some people might go pretty fast, but if you see a person walking on the side of the road, which is, it's not a very big road, so everybody would, I think, at least put their brakes on and slow down. You could tell that somebody's jeans and jacket, if they had gone through a creek, even if the water had kind of like, it's, the pants had dried up, you would notice that like it wasn't like a totally clean pair of pants. So saying mud and blood, okay, but I mean, just the fact that they noticed something out of the ordinary, to me, I don't know. I mean, it could make sense or not. However, if Rick did this killing, how is he going to get back to his? How else is he going to get back to his car other than 300? He can't go back. Like, I mean, he didn't have to cross the creek to get to the bridge. He could have walked through the woods and then got back at some point onto the trail. But why would you risk having people on the trail get a good close-up look at your face and your body? So I don't think that's an option. You might say, well, why would he go on 300? Because, I mean, there's no real other way to go other than going across the creek and going on Hoosier Heartland Highway, which there would be even more cars, even if they're going like 55 plus miles an hour. That doesn't seem like a viable option to me. So to me, 300 does seem like the best way for him or anybody to get back to their car at CPS. So I don't know. What were we talking about? Charles, I don't know what you're talking about. Remember, they said his face was covered in bruises, etc., so he hurt himself too. Is that his most recent appearance? I don't know what you're talking about. I did not see that. Let's see. Hi, Matthew. I chalk up the wife not identifying him as denial that she could have been living with the killer the entire time. No one wants to expect their husband, wife. I totally agree. I mean, they've been married for 25 years at the time. You really think she was like, oh, is Rick capable of killing these two girls? I assume her answer was no. So if you don't think your husband is capable of doing something like this, that would obviously lead her to believe it was not him, despite the clothes matching up and his voice. No use for a name. Rick's wife might have questioned him about it. That's something we'll never know unless he shares it. I mean, they may have had a relationship where he kind of like tells her not to shut up, but don't press me on this. If he says, I went to the police, I talked to them, and like nobody's coming to their house, like raiding them within the next few days and weeks, her suspicions of him are going to subside. So, I mean, I know we kind of mostly criticize her for like, how could she not know? But there are certain reasons why she would not think it was him. Hi, Kirsty. They need to prove he was at the kill site, not just of even the bridge. He Ken said, I was walking past the girls on the bridge. The bullet is the nail in the coffin. I don't think they need to prove that he was at the kill site because they just need to prove, as far as I've seen, they need to prove that he said, guys, go down the hill. That's kidnapping. It led to their murder. And then he's could be found guilty if they prove that he is bridge guy. I don't think they have to prove that he was at the crime scene where the bodies were found. Shelley, do you know how far apart in time was the photo and video? So I think you're talking about Libby's photos, which I think were taken at 2:06 or 2:07. There may have been a delay in uploading to Snapchat because Libby uploaded these to the social media app Snapchat, which I think they would have been saved to her phone first. So law enforcement has more access to the true evidence than we do. So about 6 minutes between when the photos were uploaded and between the 2:13 when she starts to take video of bridge guy, whoever you want to say it is, Rick or somebody else. Mark says, I always thought the Anthony Shots sketch was just to send a message to the killer that they knew he had used that profile. Are you talking about the April 2019 younger guy? You think that it was based on Anthony Shots and trying to send a message to the killer that they thought Anthony Shots was associated with the killings? To me, the sketch, the 2019 sketch, does not look exactly like Anthony Shots. There was some kind of rumor at some point that the second sketch may have been based on one of Libby's friends, like seeing a picture of Anthony Shots if Libby was hanging out with them. And so, sorry, if Libby was hanging out with this girl and said, here's this guy I'm talking to, Anthony Shots, and then it's like, that's it. And so was that younger sketch this girl trying to remember what that younger guy looked like? I don't know. That whole 2019 sketch and direction of the case, hopefully we'll get some kind of clarification about that either at the trial or afterwards when Doug Carter appears on my channel in a live chat telling the whole story and all about these tentacles, which I haven't seen a tentacles reference in the chat. Doug Carter said there's a lot of tentacles, but I don't know. We haven't seen anybody else get arrested. Hi, bud. Rick went to the conservation officer before he knew there was a video of him. So the murders were on the 13th. They found them noon on the 14th. I think the screenshot and the voice of Down the Hill came out maybe the afternoon of the 15th. There is not any clarification exactly when Rick called and met the conservation officer. Although I'm sure law enforcement has it written down somewhere. Shankmeister, dedication to detail. Matthew Owen. Rick also isn't very intelligent. His overdone concealment of his ID while on the bridge may seem clever to him, but I think he looks suspicious. No one locally dresses like that on a warm day. There's been so much. I mean, a lot of people say bridge guy, every man in Indiana dresses like bridge guy. I mean, a lot of people have said that. And in my Kegan Kline video, I showed like his dad wore, what did I say? He shops at NASCAR t-shirts R Us. And Kegan didn't wear that stuff. So not every man in Indiana wears this stuff, but I do understand like most men would wear this similar stuff outfit as bridge guy. Marshall, I don't think proving Rick is bridge guy proves he did it beyond reasonable. Well, they only need to prove, if they prove that Rick is the guy on the bridge who says go down the hill, that proves that Rick kidnapped them. So he would be guilty of felony murder, which includes committing a felony or felony that led to a murder. Sorry, I think I'm somewhat right on that. Tom, you can't just be somewhat right. You have to be, that doesn't work in a court of law. How much more time? 2:36, maybe 24 more minutes or more. I don't know. What? I don't know what's going on here. Big Bird, are you smoking some doobie from 420? Wow, he just dodged a bullet in and out, in and out. He told his wife he was parked at that farm store. So she didn't expect him to come forward when they said parked at CPS. Okay, that's a good point. Keep smoking that hashish. But yeah, unfortunately, you can't see my iconic emojis in StreamYard. Shelley will be very angry if he gets a plea. I won't. I mean, I just want, my biggest concern is that these poor family members who have been through hell and are continuing to go through this nightmare, there's going to be this trial and it comes time for the jury to read their verdict. I mean, I just can't imagine what they would go through if it's anything but some kind of guilt. So if Rick comes up with some kind of plea deal and says, okay, I did it, and there is some justice, that's the thing I care about the most. Thank you, Diane, for what you said nice about me. I'm not highlighting it. WL22, Indiana. The marital privilege prevents a court from requiring a spouse to testify as to confidential marital communications, but does not bar the spouse from testifying if the spouse chooses to do so. So, yeah, but does that only, I don't know if that only covers what, like if before Rick got arrested, if he said something to his wife, does she not have to reveal that? But if Rick is chatting with her from the prison tablet, can they submit that evidence if he says to her something that was incriminating? Or because she's his spouse, does that communication get automatically thrown out? Yeah, Charles, it seems to be this is the case. Something in discovery set him off. Some kind of information in the legal papers he was given in late April totally changed his, at least his mental state, because for like 4 months he had been in prison. And yes, he was losing weight, but it seemed like his mental state was okay for the first 4 months until he got this paperwork. Bud says, not sure that the death penalty is available for felony murder. Not sure if they can prove he is the killer. Rather, his leading them down the hill led to their death. Well, his two defense lawyers are capable of defending death penalty cases, so I think it might be available. Dave says prisoners say all kinds of stuff in prison. Yeah, but repeatedly, like 5 to 6 times? I don't know. We need to see exactly what he's saying. Somebody send me that information. Charles has had his people digging into Rick's past. He's a basic unknown no matter how far we dug, all right? Thank you for digging. JW saw a video of Rick at a bar BQ. Can't remember where I found it. Looked like BG. Tried to hear if it sounded like BG, but not enough audio. Sorry to correct you, but I think you're talking about on Rick's wife's Facebook before she took it down. Is it the video where there's fireworks going off during the day? If so, that was her brother, I think. It was not Rick, who was like walking in the background. Hi, Aspen Connor. I gave you a shout out before. Aspen Connor knows a lot more information about this case than me. So it seems like every other YouTube content creator has inside sources, and I only have outside sources. So you should all go watch their live chats instead of mine. What are we doing here? Charles says, if he was treated so badly, why haven't his lawyers visited him? They sent an unpaid intern every time. I don't think that's true that they sent an unpaid intern every time. They did have the intern testify, which I'm sure that was fun for him. I think he basically said, what did the intern say? He said at first that the jail was accommodating, and then maybe they weren't as accommodating. But they let him into the prison, the prison, not the jail. He forgot his ID in his car, but they still let the intern into the prison. I don't know. Kirsty says, this monster is not guaranteed a deal. If the evidence is powerful, it's straight to the death penalty, death row. I don't know how much they would want to even bring in the death penalty if it's going to prevent a guilty verdict. And I don't know a lot of stuff about a lot of things, including like this legal stuff and when the death penalty comes into play. I think he's found guilty first, and then the judge is the one who would maybe in the following few weeks would decide if it's his the death penalty is going to be inflicted, should we say? Yeah, Shelley says that's the July 4th barbecue. It was Kathy's brother that everyone thought was Rick, which I'm not even going into that. No, there's somebody who posted that video right after Rick was arrested, and it was like, this is the video of bridge guy walking, and it's that JLR guy, and he's like, I'm an investigator, and everybody in the comments was saying that's not Rick, it's the brother, and he still kept that video up. That guy's a clown. So am I, though. Oh, I have a joke. You want to hear a joke? No. Okay, I'll say it. I have exclusive news. Like you can tell I'm not telling the truth. I'm the new host of Murder Sheet. I'm joining them. Some people trigger me. They call Murder Sheet Murder Sheets, but I think they only have one sheet, right? One spreadsheet. But now I've shared my spreadsheets with Murder Sheet, so it's now called the Murder Sheets. We taped our first episode, and so we re-recorded their intro. So the new intro for Murder Sheets is, I'm Anya Kane, I'm a journalist. I'm Kevin Greenlee, I'm an attorney. And I'm Tom Webster, and I'm a clown. I'm kidding. I'm not the new host of the Murder Sheet. Oh, gosh. How much more time? 15 minutes? Am I going to stop in 15 minutes? I don't know. Low-hanging fruit says Abby's birthday is Friday. You all please don't forget. All right. Thank you for letting us know. Yeah, the girls would be in college at this point. This whole thing is so stupid that one person, or at least one person that we know of, like had this stupid idea, and it's had all these horrible consequences for not just them, but their families and a bunch of other stuff. Yeah, Joey says Rick's daughter has not been at any of his hearings. Gene, have other YouTubers, journalists been able to talk to Richard? No, he's not saying anything. If they have none, have said he was losing weight or dirty, etc. No, there's a gag order, so I don't even know if he's allowed to talk to the press. I don't think so. And the police said that he stopped being cooperative at a certain point, I guess last November or so. Faye says, "Did you hear the murder was a failed kidnapping?" I just don't understand where Rick would have taken them. He couldn't have taken them to his house. There's a rumor that his wife was away for a few days. I've never seen any clarification about that, which I think would be important to know if he felt like, okay, my wife is away. I have some extra time. I don't mean extra time to like do this horrible thing, but I don't have to get home by 5:30 or whatever when she would get home from work. That remains to be seen. If she was home when she got home, yada yada yada. Hi, Anna. Has always been said that Libby would not leave Abby. I assume the killer lost control at the creek crossing, but one or both girls could have slipped and floundered on the slippery creek bottom. Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand how the three of them got across that creek, which at certain points, if you've seen the helicopter footage from the next day, it's up to the waist of the searchers. And those are adults. I mean, Rick was an adult, but he was only 5'4". Bud says, looking more and more like Rick was the lone wolf killer, probably had help catfishing them. I think he takes a deal and doesn't go to trial. The weight of this crime is weighing on this POS. I don't know. I don't see if he was catfishing them. They've had access to Libby's phone for 6 years or 5.5 years before he was arrested. Why did they not find any evidence of somebody else catfishing Libby that led to Rick's house or his phone or whatever? Daniel says nobody but the actual players before, during, and after the murders knows what happened that day. Totally agree. My number one worry, why no infrared drone hits for the girls that day? So, I mean, they could have been killed as soon as, I mean, let's say 2:20. It takes about 5 minutes to get across the creek to the crime scene. I mean, I don't want to get gory here, but if he used a knife, I mean, they could have just ended up there real quick, and they had just walked through a cold creek in 42-degree weather. So their bodies may have been cold from that. I mean, there's been talk about heat-seeking drones and why they did not pick up heat from the girls' bodies. I don't know what to say about that, Daniel. I mean, I just don't know what to say. Sorry. Are people being unrespectful to our host? I haven't seen anything, so my moderators are doing a good job. Thank you. I'll stop fairly soon, so you guys can go do other stuff. Oh. Anna says one problem with a big kidnapping plot and the crime is there would have there would have there would have had to be a vehicle within a usable range, not at the CPS building where Rick was parked, not across the creek, etc., like at the cemetery. And the only place is that private drive, which is only one vehicle wide, because I think there's only like two houses back there. So would somebody really risk a resident coming back to their house and being trapped? I don't know. My bulldog was just carrying on a full conversation with Tom. Hi, bulldog. Sorry, I'm just looking for some comments. We haven't talked about stuff. Awkward silence. Yeah, some people say, Marianne says, sketch looks more like Jimmy, in my opinion. I did see something where somebody said that they thought the sketch was based on Jimmy Duvall to try and get his mother to turn him in. I guess this was early in the case. But I think they didn't release the sketch until July 2017, that first sketch. I don't know why they waited to release the video, and it took 2 years for them to release the guy's part. It's like, I don't know. Yeah, Hippie says Ron Logan was terrified of heights, according to his friends. His wife said that he would not even go 3 feet out onto that bridge. So why, after 53 years at that property, would he go on the bridge and try and do something to these girls? People say, well, he would complain about trespassers on his property, but on the bridge and the trails, that's not his property, so he would have no reason to get angry at Abby and Libby. Aspen Connor, Ron Logan is not bridge guy. Thank you, Tom. Yeah, I mean, that's my opinion. I know some people do think he is. Dave, in my opinion, Rick has some sort of undiagnosed mental health issue, and over the years has become worse. Well, it's going to be interesting to see if the prison mental health staff has diagnosed anything. Charles says, I'm not saying Logan is innocent or guilty, or if the Klines are involved, but the voice of Bridge Guy is Rick Allen. Charles says, what was in the shed? They took pics of, but didn't take. I don't know about that. I mean, I think the report is that they took photos in the shed. I don't know if they did or did not take items, Charles, or what was in that shed. Humanimal, Ron's body is not a match for Bridge Guy. His body type, size, etc., is not a match, in all caps. Ron Logan is not Bridge Guy. Rick Allen, same body type, proportions, etc., he matches. And if Bridge Guy, then he abducted Abby and Libby. Yeah, so Rick said he didn't see anybody on the bridge on platform 1, which we know he was spotted there by witness 4 around, I think, 1:53-ish. So why didn't Rick say, oh yeah, I saw Ron Logan, if Ron Logan is Bridge Guy? And I think we have to remember that the video and the photo, the screen capture from Libby's video of Bridge Guy, that's zoomed in. So if you see the actual full size, like zoomed out from Libby's actual location, would that show the body to be more of a like 5'4" person than like Ron Logan, who was 6 foot? A lot of people say Ron was 6'3". When he was arrested, it said he was 6 foot in the like charging document or whatever. Oh my God. Aspen Connor, just compare my voice to Tom's. Mine sounds young and his doesn't. How dare you? Block. I am like 5 years older than you. Although some people say you look 5 years older than me. Charmaine is getting triggered by people using all caps. Some people say they have to use all caps because they don't have good vision, Charmaine. Charmaine, did you have a good Costco run yesterday? Did you get the tacos I suggested? I'm sweating. 2:54. Is Tom going to stop in 5 minutes? I don't know. We'll see. I'm half hour behind on comments right now, and I skipped over like a half hour's worth. All right, I'm going to look for stuff we have not talked about because I've said everything twice. Let's see. I won't say that out loud. Now, we respect, do we, other people's opinions, but I said before, I'm wrong about a lot of stuff, but to me, I seem very certain that Ron Logan was not Bridge Guy. If he had other stuff to do with this, I don't know. But when it comes to him being the guy on the bridge saying down the hill, I don't think that's him. I know some people are like, well, he was faking it when he said down the heel. Yeah, but you have to take into all of his videos, like all of his interviews, like on Inside Edition. You really think he's 77 years old thinking, oh, I'm a good actor. I'm going to convince people I was not the guy on the bridge. So let me do all these TV interviews. And I'm just saying that like his overall voice tone from those videos, it does not add up to the same tone as Bridge Guy. It sounds like an old man, and Bridge Guy does not. Yeah, Kay is not a fan of Tom Webster. So what? It takes 2 minutes to change your clothes, though. That argument is kind of lame that he's not wearing the same thing as earlier in the day. That's all I'm saying. So you're a Ron Logan is Bridge Guy person. And I'm sorry if I'm offending people. I'm just saying my opinion. But if Ron Logan knew that he was going to take to anybody, any woman from the bridge area to his property, why would he change from large boots up to his knees to Bridge Guy not wearing large boots up to his knees if you know you're going across this creek? I'm just saying it doesn't make sense to me. If it makes sense to you, whoop-de-doo. Sorry, I'm offending people, but I'm just keeping it real. Sorry. How much more time? No, you don't have to hit the like button. It's okay. I love that I have over 200 videos on my channel, and I've never once said, please like, subscribe, or whatever, smash that like button, hit that bell notification. I don't want people to be notified that I have a new video. I always feel guilty when I push publish on a video that I'm waking people up around the world. Totally agree with you, Charles. Just seems like Delphi making more questions than answers as always. I think the reason a lot of us are interested in this case, other than hoping to get justice for Abby and Libby, there are so many questions and so few answers that I don't know that we're ever going to get a lot of these answers, but hopefully who did this is going to get answered. I don't even know what is this universe? I don't know what to say. Son of Liberty. Oh, okay. One thing that always comes to mind, undergarments and socks are the best items of clothing for a dog to get a scent from. So you're thinking that he thought, let me get rid of this. So in case there are dogs looking in the woods for these bodies, that'll throw them off. I know people are upset that Tobe called off the dogs, I guess at midnight or something the night before. Excuse me. I burped. Humanimal. The outfit Ron is wearing at the transfer station, he wore in an interview. People went bananas saying, look, that's BF. He is in the same BG. It's right next to each other on the keyboard, the F and the G. Look, that's BG. He is in the same clothes. When the clothes and Ron look very different. Well, I showed in my Ron Logan part of my 4.5-hour video on the Klines. There's only like 28 minutes on Ron Logan, only 28 minutes. I showed in that interview where he's wearing a dark blue jacket being interviewed outside. The interviewer has a microphone like covering Ron's, like his pecs, like his chest. And people see that video and say, oh, he's wearing a dark blue jacket and his hat is similar, which I agree. The hat he's wearing in that interview could be similar, but people aren't paying attention when the interviewer moves their microphone. It shows a very large logo on his jacket, which Bridge Guy's jacket does not have that logo. So yeah, let's stop arguing about Ron. If you believe it's him, good for you, but the police disagree with you. I have no idea if Ron was involved with other stuff. I'm just saying not Bridge Guy. Sultana says, this woman, who I call witness 7 in the order of people who saw Rick or his car. This woman has been debunked as being the muddy, bloody witness. Yeah, so that's the woman who people say she attempted murder with her car, and that's why she came forward with a witness statement. We'll find out at the trial who these people are, which I'm sure they're not looking forward to going on the stand and having their names be found out. Humanimal. Some people have no attention to detail. They act emotionally. No comment. Well, I will say one comment. I feel like in looking into Missy Beavers and Delphi, some people like latch on to one thing and they totally ignore other evidence. Like in the Missy Beavers case, there's a ton of people who saw this video of her father-in-law walking with a limp, and they're like, that's a limp. It matches the limp of the killer who killed Missy in the church. And that's all they focus on. They do not focus on the police saying, we proved that the father-in-law was in a totally different state. So I agree with you, Humanimal. Beely, this case has taught me that Delphi is full of crazies. The Delphi online community or in the actual town? We passed 3 hours. What am I doing? Hi, Angel Bear. I'll go for like 15 more minutes. I'm starting to sweat. Bradley Boy, it was interesting to hear what the Attorney General of Indiana thinks about this case. I don't remember. I don't know what you're talking about. Aspen Connor says, yes, the woman publicly named as Muddy Bloody Witness, in my opinion, is not that woman, in my informed opinion. Let's see. Hooky Bricks Hooky is still here. Taking and keeping stuff from a crime scene does not have to make sense. It is part of the problem that makes these people commit the crimes in the first place. Okay, thank you for setting me straight. All right, this is the last thing I'll talk about Ron, but I want to highlight other people's opinions, not just mine. So Kay says Ron Logan did lie about everything. I agree that the alibi is suspicious. However, you say even his reason for lying and making a false alibi was a lie. He was not worried about violating his probation. He drove everywhere all the time, had utter disregard for the law. I respectfully disagree. He was 77 years old. And yes, we have heard that he did drive around Delphi and the local police would not pull him over if he went over to like the transfer station, which is like 5 to 10 minutes away. However, in this case, he drove to, I think, the aquarium in Logansport. That was my ankle cracking, in case you heard that noise. He drove to the aquarium to buy fish. And there was so much like focus on Ron Logan due to the Delphi murders. It seems like the local like prosecutor could not just let him get away with like not charging him with this stuff when it was so much in the news. And I feel like he's 77. If he felt like he was going to die in jail, like he finds out that these girls are missing and he thinks, oh my God, I drove all the way to Logansport. The police are going to come talk to me. I need an alibi. So to me, I think he was concerned that he was going to die in jail. Okay. And that's his reason for his alibi. But I get some of your points. Mandy says, I think you're saying one of the juvenile witnesses said Bridge Guy or Rick, or at least Rick, because they passed Rick and he said he passed them. One said black jacket, black jeans. How could she see blood? I feel like the girl who said it was black clothes of Rick was because he was walking in the shadow. And like how I really don't pay attention to people who I pass on the sidewalk. I look like for 1 second, and if they're not hot, I keep looking somewhere else. Oh my gosh, how much I'm embarrassing myself. Anyway, that was a crow outside, if you heard that noise. Lots of unexplained noises going on. Oh my gosh. Hippie, the man in jail is Richard Allen. And he is the one charged with felony murder for the murders of Abby and Libby. Yes, not Ron Logan or anybody else. Sinbad Sailor. Rick's attorneys lied to the judge about Rick's conditions. They lied about the size of his cell, his bed, the amount of clothing he receives, and his exercise and shower time. The judge saw through it. Yeah, she said, it seems like you're complaining about your inconvenience more than your client. And there was one other thing. I don't have total confirmation about this, but the judge, Gull, called one of the lawyers out. I guess one of the lawyers cited some other cases, and she said, those are federal cases, not Indiana cases. So why are you even bringing those up? I do not have clarification if she was admonishing the prosecutor or the defense, but I think it was the defense. Let's see. A few more comments, and then it's bye time. That's a crow. Patty Jean, is it possible that law enforcement linked Kegan to Anthony Schatz immediately, which they did by February 25th, 2017? That was a crow. And then focused on him for years, overlooking Rick. Well, they didn't arrest Kegan for like 3.5 years for the CSAM. So like the day after the police raided the client's house, the Indianapolis FBI spokesperson said, we have cleared the residents of the Peru house, which was crazy to people who saw that article, I guess, and realized it was about the client. So I just don't think that the people in charge of this case, Tony Liggett, Tobe, Jerry Holman, and Doug Carter, I don't think they knew about Rick's confession that he was, I don't want to say confession, but Rick's tip interview that he was at the trails from 1:30 to 3:30 until they found this piece of paper like September or October 2022. Wrapping it up. Miss Dog Lover is in the UK. She stays up late. What is the time? It's 11 o'clock. Oh, I'm gonna have to wrap it up so people in Europe can go to bed. That's my excuse. The 2019 sketch looked like Justin Timberlake in the 90s. Yeah, I agree. Hopefully we'll get some explanation about what the hell that was all about. Deb says, I really hope that Rick is the only person involved, but not sure. I mean, it's been 8 months since he was arrested, so why have police not arrested anybody else? I don't know how much, I mean, I'd imagine they're doing a bunch of digging into all of his electronics and his associations with friends and whatever. I don't know. Will we see another arrest in this case? Hi, Mark. Thank you for joining from New Zealand. We're ending this fairly soon, a few minutes. Cora Jean, I've lived in Indiana for 55 years. Bridge guy is every middle-aged guy in the state. That's why this case is so scary. All right, thank you for providing your local perspective. Oh, I'm like 30 minutes behind on comments. Sorry. Sorry if I'm ignoring your comment. Hi, KA Pisces from Florida. A lot of times these people who do these horrible acts like to take with them trophies to answer about why they would still have it from 5 years ago. Well, hopefully we'll find out some information soon about, I don't know if this week, these unsealed documents, if they are going to include the search warrant for Rick's house. We've obviously seen the PCA, but we have not found out exactly what evidence they showed to the judge to get probable cause to search his house for 11 hours in October 2022. Son of Liberty, I probably have 4 or 5 Carhartt jackets. I still don't think BG's jacket looks like canvas, which is the one of the witnesses described it as duck canvas, which is that heavier material. So thank you for providing the expertise on Carhartt jackets. I spent so much time like looking for this jacket that matched Bridge Guy's jacket, and there have been a few that are somewhat similar, but I've never found one that looks exactly like it. There were 2 videos on Rick's wife's Facebook page. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the one where she sneaks up on Rick while he's sitting in the car in November. It was around Thanksgiving 2016, a few months before the murders. And he is wearing a dark blue jacket, but the quality of the video is not good enough to see if it's like a lighter material or not. There's a crow outside making noise. That's somebody who believes Ron and Logan is Bridge Guy explaining their point. Sorry. Sorry, I'm just looking to see anything that we have not really talked about in the past 3 hours and 11 minutes, or any of my previous live chats where I've talked about everything like 12 times. So while, hold on. Oh, God. Oh, yeah. Billy Wolf is Doug Carter. Doug Carter is retiring January 2025, in case anybody wants to send him a poem. He's a nice guy. Hopefully, he says he'd like to tell the story one day, so who knows who he's going to do that interview with. Is it going to be me or somebody else? He would never appear on this channel. Nobody wants to be associated with me. Sorry, I'm just looking for some things we haven't added. Hello. All right, let's wrap this up, everybody. Let me see if there's like one more comment I'll do before we go, or at least I go. We'll end with this. Teresa, what happens if Rick Allen is found incompetent to stand trial? I don't know, unfortunately. So I was doing a little bit of research before, and it seems like if his lawyers like do some medical and mental health evaluations and they say he's not competent right now, I think he might have to go to like some kind of mental hospital for a few months where they're going to try and get him back to sanity. If that doesn't happen after 6 months, I think they're going to have to do some kind of reevaluation of what the next steps are. I don't know if I'm totally right about that, but I think so. I'm sure somebody else is going to do a live chat explaining it because I'm not going to. All right. I think that's it, everybody. We're at 3 hours and 13 minutes. Thank you, as always, to my moderators, my members, my subscribers, random people, people who disagree with me and share their opinions. Please don't be mad that I disagreed with you. That's my father replying to my Happy Father's Day text. So unfortunately, that means I have to end this chat. Yeah, so thank you, everybody, for joining. When is my next live chat is what 2 people are wondering. Let me do one final drink of my Taco Bell cup. They're unsealing some documents. Hopefully this next week, they're going to upload them to a website. If there is some stuff that's really like controversial that I think you guys would want to talk about, I might do a live chat this week. It's like, why am I even agreeing to do that? If there's nothing really interesting in these unsealed documents, I'm not going to do a live chat. So That's it, everybody. Thank you. Happy Father's Day to the fathers. Happy Mother's Day to the mothers and everybody in between. Thank you for joining. I'm going to go have something to eat. Good night, Europe. Have a nice rest of your day, everybody. Have a nice day in Australia. I'm going to end this right now. Don't get mad at me. It's been 3 hours and 15 minutes. Bye until